Good evening, TNT family. We are back with Yellow the Code, and we have our friend here, Mr. Suman Singh. And tonight we are going to be addressing the negligence of our school system under the PNM administration for the last 10 years. As we see, we know that there was 106 schools built, and as much as the PNM tried to deny that the school existed, I mean, some of these schools were maybe 95% in some areas finished. Some guy said on the latest news article we have seen is that some of it were 98% finished. And we have seen videos of these schools where grass have overgrown it, and we are hearing about uh, criminals inhabiting these schools for the past 9 or 10 years. And it is really sad to know the level of inconvenience and distress this political victimization caused our people, our children, and the inconvenience to them, and the lack of safety and a lot of things. The kids are overcrowded in some of the religious organization. So, Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you back to UNC USA, and thank you for taking the time for joining us. We are hearing about the overcrowding, and you are more familiar with the school system, being that you were involved with the laptop program and trying to assist the Ministry of Education. So can you give me a little bit of your insight of what you see happening, right now at this point where we are attempting to kind of rehabilitate things and restore things. We just taken government about a week, so we definitely need some time. There's just so much work to be done, So I'd like to get your input on things.
Thanks, Gary, and thanks to the listening audience. I First thing I have to say that when you build schools, who are the beneficiaries of the schools? In my opinion, it's basically children and young teenagers as they go on to high school, and also the at the year three level is the kindergarten level. So basically, is all the early childhood schools, the primary schools, and the secondary schools. So the people who are impacted most from this are the children. And to suffer the children is literally a massive crime. Because I'll tell you what, when children have to be or are forced to go to school in a cramped conditions, learning without sufficient space, learning without no air conditions or fans, learning in an environment not suitable or not as much suitable in a learning environment, it becomes difficult for children to concentrate on, really the level of teaching suffers. So, with that in mind, not having proper facilities and whiteboards and full staff teachers and the play area and so on, it inhibits the social interaction and development of the child. And when you look at it to see what transpired, and based on the news coverage, it shows total discrimination. If you look at the data, where were these schools that are left incompleted? Where are the locations? And what does the data suggest? Because as you know, Gary, everything today is data driven. So if a school is 98% completed and it's just 2% more to be completed, it doesn't really matter which party is in power to complete that 2%, because the net beneficiary, as I said, are the children. So you are discriminating against children. How can that be? How can you live with that? How can a party say that's their policy? Well, we're not going to do that Reform Hindu school, as the case may be, because that is not in one of our marginal areas or is not one of our constituencies. So let's leave that right there. And to leave that for 10 years and hear the complaints, the children were accommodated next to the temple. Again, not the right environment to have classes. It's merely a holding area. So for 10 years, if someone is going to school, that means that if a child is 5 years of age, they would not have seen that school at all. They would have gone either straight into secondary school without proper groundwork in a school environment. So those are challenges that the child will face upon entering into secondary school. And secondly, where are the other schools that was 95% completed? I saw two massive schools down south. I happen to know that area. It was next to the fire station, which was built recently, which the former prime minister went down, Stuart Young went down, and he accidentally fell and injured his hand at the opening of the fire station there. I think it's right opposite that. There are two massive structures. Close to that as well is the Davie campus. So that's the University of the West Indies South campus. So right over there, three multi-million-dollar educational institutions that was just left there to disintegrate. So that today what you find is infestations, animals infestations, you have some human infestations as well in the form of criminals, homeless people and so on, making it their home, overgrown bushes, and all the negative things that you can associate with a school. You had everything except classes built into those structures. I understand, based on the reports, a lot of the electrical wiring were compromised. And normal decay over the years.
Well, I'm sure the buildings will be looted also. But the fact and the audacity of this government, and I find the conduct of the print media in the country is very sickening, because these are physical structures staring us in the face that you cannot deny the existence. And the prime minister has the nerve to come in parliament and say, what schools you're talking about? You know what I mean? And he doesn't know about no 106 schools, and maybe it's 22 schools. And I mean, and all the ridicule and insult, and they was allowed to get away with it without the media going and look for these schools and bring it to the population, seeing the fact that this government was denying the existence of physical structures. Look at the massive size of these structures that I've seen recently on CNC3. So go ahead.
I think the two I saw opposite the fire station, those capacity is pretty close, like 1,600 students. And again, those are secondary schools. And what would have happened is that, that those students were and had to be accommodated elsewhere. Again, putting pressure on the existing schools. Today, most of those students would have been or should have been in the workforce, or some of them would have gone up to UB, up at St. Augustine to continue their education. They would have come out 5 or 6 years ago, some of them, and where are they? So when we see that, you have so much rampant unemployment, so much rampant crime, it's because of this social, one of the main social aspect of life is education. And if they are denied that, and not being able to fulfill their dreams. How can you have a qualified human capital labor force? So is either getting people or who will be joining the labor force now are underprepared, and you have to do some remedial work because some of them may have graduated from university and not been working for the past 5 years. So you have an underserved labor force, a qualified but underserved labor force. So most of them will have to do either retooling or reskilling of whatever they have learned. And this is the problem, like everything else, if you follow the computer or the technological formula, it goes like this: input, processing, output. And what is the output? You ask,
Exactly what the output is, exactly what you invested into with the input.
correct. And if your input is unfulfilled or is not clearly defined or is limited, or you just don't have the asset, which are the schools, the functional schools, what is the output? And this is the problem. So when you say that there are criminals around this, and you find all the excuses. You find all the excuses. But did we think back when we were thinking about what are the inputs and how that can solve the problem so you can have less, unemployed youths roaming around?
I mean, I'm looking at where an article here where Dr. Gopi Singh is saying that we repaired 300 schools on top of the ones that we built, right?
Hmm.
And they were claiming all sorts of discrimination, which was that we wasn't maintaining schools in P&M area, and saying that we were victimizing people and stuff like that, and nothing further from the truth,
That
because the
definitely.
physical evidence is out there.
And as I said, the data will back that up anytime. For example, what does the data show? Where are these schools, most of which are left incompleted? Where are they located? Is it south of the lighthouse? You make your pick and see if that is not geographic discrimination. So, you know, there are lots of answers to be drawn from the data, and we can see after a 10-year lapse what has happened to our workforce, and that is what I'm concerned about. Whatever edge
In
we
the
had
next couple of months, we have
uh,
to bring all this information forward into the public domain. And if the media in Trinidad won't cover it, we have to find alternatives, just like USA Channel and all the social media, and bring that information in the public domain. Look, I mean, we've seen a few schools recently in that news broadcast there with Radica and De Silva.
yeah.
But I mean, we need to do some more of that. We need to bring all that information and stare the people in the face.
Well, news media, or the popular ones which people tend to gravitate to, are no longer, you know, avenues for getting information. Social media, the news travel much faster. There may be instances of inaccuracies, but in the main, they're generally much more accurate than what the print media is doing.
Well, mostly older people would watch the conventional media, but
Yeah.
the social media, everybody has their phone, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, Facebook, you name it. You
And
know, uh,
this is one of the things which I guess the previous government was not too happy about, that younger people, Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, had access to this, mobile information, information at your fingertips, so to speak. And I did see much when I was back home that, every morning you see everybody going to the nearest newspaper store to buy their newspaper and coming back home. I don't know if you familiar with that. Every morning they will go and say going to pick up the
And get
news
your Guardian and Express and Newsday.
and then come back home and read it. But last year before when I was down to I didn't see those things, and
Maybe the older people are still doing it, but the younger people is definitely not doing that.
they gravitate towards towards their phone. So this is what it
And the
is
information is coming to you quicker.
right away, and then you can spread it to your other friends and so on. And this is the impact of what's called social media marketing. Um, that's what I am. I do social media marketing. I'm a social media marketing specialist as well as a data analyst. So I work with the data, I work with the numbers. And when I run that into my AI training, it tells you the complete picture. Most times, it tells you the complete picture and why were certain groups or certain locations discriminated against. So
But we have a long history of that. We have a long history of that.
yes, I will think so that we
Welcome,
have.
Fazia. Did she drop out? She must have dropped out. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I think but what happened in the past, let that, we got to look forward.
Yeah,
No,
we got to look forward, but at the
no
same
sense.
time, Mr. Singh, we have to bring this information forward so the people understand our accomplishments and they would recognize at the end of our term what we have accomplished within this additional 5 years, and they must be reminded because people a lot of times people succumb to their memory somehow they lose. I don't know, like they forget so quick, and they will go back and vote that oppressor that has been oppressing our country from the beginning of time, our independence. So they must see that this government is putting the right things in place to help them build their lives, and that is our objective. And when you advance, just like that, the input and output, when a country invests in its people, that's like how India invested in its people as its main number one resource. That's how India is benefiting today,
Big
right?
time. I don't know if you look at the India model, because a good friend of mine works as a consultant with the education in India, and he was telling me here in Miami that there are 400 million people in India that are very well qualified. They are in the middle or upper middle class, and they can travel and go and study or work on holiday in any part of the world. And he was telling me, and I confirmed that. And so there was a cricket match series between India and Australia in November last year, spread it into January this year. And there were 150,000 Indians traveled to watch that test series. Now, in certain days, you will find in the stadiums in Australia, and in Australia has
They're
huge.
buying up, they're buying up entire towns here in New Jersey.
And
The
no,
new
but hear
development.
what? Hear what? They have already, the last year when they had the World Cup, Test Cricket World Cup in England at Lords, they had bought out most of the tickets. So their support base in the crowd was mostly their supporters,
Not
Indian.
forgetting, we just built a stadium here up in New York too. So
That's a cricket stadium.
yeah, yeah, it was a massive crowd there.
Yeah. So to tell you that, you know, with 400 million people, you scared the hell of you scared the world, including the US and Europe, because when you check the total population of all the European countries, it's less than that 400 million. And the US total population is less than that 400 million. So you can imagine the size of that middle class who are well educated and has the ability the capital and the resources to travel and go anywhere. He also told me that foreign exchange is never a problem. You can, once you have your local currency, you could take out as much money as you want in US dollars. You go 30, 40, 50, 60, 100,000. There's no limit. So can
It
you
all boils
imagine?
back down to investing in your people. Now, I'm looking here, right? We
Uh-huh.
had, I'm seeing an article here from Dr. Gopi Singh again here. 53 early childhood learning centers,
Yes.
right? And let's see, and I mean, is this, don't we feel that this isn't necessary? Because this is a multi purpose agenda here, where you are providing the early childhood learning for the child. You are enabling the parent to go out there and work, or to go to school or whatever they want to advance themselves. You're
Yes.
providing safety and security for the children. You're kind of helping, making sure that they are being neutral, they're being receiving the proper nutrition.
School
you know
feeding, yeah, breakfast and
yeah,
lunch in some cases.
and this is where you start structuring the children before they get into the hands of the gangsters, and you channel their mind to do constructive thing. So when they get out of this pre learning center, preschool, that they're ready for the actual elementary school. Their mind is already shaped to think a certain way, and be more constructive instead of being idlesome and destructive, right? And so, I mean, there's so many benefits from this early childhood learning centers that I don't know if the government ever, what if they had shut it down or anything like that. 23 primary schools and 7 secondary schools were constructed. I guess this is about an article from October 2014, that I'm seeing here. But in total, we built 106 schools. Let's see, more than 80% of the schools are more than 50%, 50 years of age. So he's talking about the condition of the schools that were built under the PNM, over
Right.
50 years old,
Yeah.
right?
And also, a lot of schools were refurbished as well. And
Right.
refurbishment is a high cost and must be done within a certain time frame, not like the July August holidays,
Yeah.
to be
Now,
ready again for the opening of the
eh,
fall term.
by the end of
So
2015, we had 135 childhood education centers.
early childhood education, and I know Dr.
135.
Yes.
71 primary schools and 15 secondary schools were completed, right?
So, yes. So I know for a fact that Dr. Gopi Singh was very instrumental in the whole education drive from early childhood to tertiary.
No,
So
that is thinking.
it's
That is tragedy there. You know what I
very
mean?
forward thinking, and he definitely did his utmost best to make sure it happened, and he was largely successful in basically all of those things because I don't know if you know, the early childhood centers had their setbacks because the South Korean company was the one who should have done. I think when he entered office, at least 27, and none was done. So he had to go through the whole process of doing their RFPs to get contractors and so on. And he still, within that 5 years, he was able to do that amount of ECCE centers. And don't forget, you have to staff those centers, eh? And the location of those centers were close enough to primary schools. So there was sort of seamless integration from early childhood into the primary schools.
Building the schools within these communities is absolutely necessary, and it has several also benefits for security. The distance you have to travel is a lot of things that you're providing here by bringing the school. It seems like they were satisfied for your children to take 3 and 4 taxis to get to school and maybe walk through a street full of mud and get to the home. I've seen some of those things, with the ridiculous conditions that the kids had to walk through. Well, I mean, some of the pavements didn't fix after it was built. What, 80 years ago? I mean, you've seen you could fall inside that. You could, I think, swallow an elephant in some of these potholes there, or manholes with the on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And absolutely no concern for public safety, and bringing everything closer to our children, at their disposal within the reach of the community is something that we should move 100% forward. I know Dr. Dowlett is going to be jumping on this and getting this project back up and running, you know.
Yes. Did you see as well? Or let me mention at this time that the ECC schools was focused more in a community setting because they're dealing with 3 year olds.
Yeah, you have to bring things closer to the home.
So the parents are close by should anything happen and so on. You don't put that, in like main suburban
No, you,
areas.
you, you don't stick it in Port of Spain and San Fernando.
And no, high traffic areas too. High traffic
Yeah,
areas.
yeah, I know.
You
I'm just
know,
showing you they,
you
they
want it
like everything Port of Spain. Yeah.
at the community level. That's it where you want to see that. The ECC schools should be community based, you know. And that was exactly what happened. It was more diverse locations, which was good because the overarching philosophy was that these things have to be people centered, community centered. Centered means the approach is has to be people centered approach, which
and,
is
and decentralized too.
make it easier or the easiest for people to send their kids to school and be around close by should something happen to the kids there. That was the general focus.
I mean, you're eliminating a lot of things also. I mean, the unnecessary traffic on the road if people have to
Absolutely.
go within their community.
Absolutely. You're right.
But one of the things I'm suggesting, those kids that have lost out because of the government taking the laptops and crippling the education infrastructure, that we create after we get ourselves properly set and we figure out our finance and how we spending money and stuff like that. That we can add to an after school program, where those people that lost out can come back and catch up. And even anybody who wants to go back to school there should be an adult education program where you could go back and get your classes and passes,
Hmm.
to
That
be
is,
done. And whether you want some technical training, you shouldn't have to go all the way San Fernando or John Donaldson or stuff like that. You should be able to get that within your local community, your drafting skills, your electrical skills, all the technical skills. You should be able to get that within your local vicinity.
yes, makes sense. But one striking bit of information I see from the article is that the cost to repair these unfinished schools is in the vicinity of $2 billion.
Because it deteriorated. If they had continued it, we'd have saved a lot of money. So this
A
government
lot,
has
a lot.
cost us, they have cost us money in so many ways by their negligence, number one, and their failure and mismanagement.
So, with that in mind, it's already a burden to find money now, given the deficits at this present time. And on top of that, you have to take into account $2 billion to complete something which was already 95 or 98% already completed 10 years ago.
Well, I'm saying we got to make some people declare their wealth and their source of income. Otherwise, the government have to confiscate it. That is what I'm saying. They all this they give themselves a big, massive raise, to leave and big pension and raid the treasury. But they've done a lot. I suspect they was going to do a lot of things to make life difficult for Mrs. Bisesa and her cabinet. But she's very capable of fixing it. We know that.
Yes, I'm sure she did it the last time around. So this time around, with the experience and the lessons learned from the previous 5 years, will serve her in good stead. Plus, in my opinion, she has a very competent bunch of new and willing ministers ready to hit the ground running. The
I mean, their heart and minds are in the right place, and it's just a matter of time when they where they will be able to sort out things, and you will see things up and running.
Yes, I
Very,
agree.
very capable people.
Yes, let's see what the new budget is going to bring forth in October, when you know the financial situation is better known, is they're much clearer as far as what the income and expenditure and all the commitments and the long-term debts and servicing and all these things that has to be measured are taken into account. So I know education should always be a priority, as let's say health and crime. So it would be a real jostle for funds.
You know,
And,
I am of the opinion, right, that our people should not have to travel outside the country to get the necessary education they need. Number one, right? Or even the healthcare. I am very disgusted at the fact that we are supposed to be so educated and so financially stable to see our people still have to go outside the country, knowing all this money that's spent to country. You know, every year money is budgeted, but we don't see value for money, and we don't see an accountability at all.
because the reason for that is there are no measurement tools. Normally, when you have a project or any sort of, you know, goals you have set, you need to have measurement tools like what's called metrics to measure. That metrics are already measurement. They are hard numbers to quantify and telling you whether you will accomplish what you have set out to do. So your strategic goal has to be linked and lined up with your metrics and your what's called KPIs, key
You're
performance.
forecasting. You're forecasting.
So when those things are in alignment, then you could start to say, well, yes, I'm hitting my first year goal, I'm hitting my second year goal, but I'm not hitting my third year goals, and there must be a reason for that. There could be some gap, and analysis have to be done. It could be reason, maybe a lot of flooding or on something unseasonal, you know, and these are the things that can cause that unforeseen aspect.
Some delays, but it's how we manage ourselves with these unexpected disasters is what is going to really it matters. You know, how we manage ourselves, how we come out of it, how we address it. You know?
And I will strongly, strongly, strongly suggest that there should be a lot more inter-ministerial coordination in all projects undertaken by the current government. And I'll tell you why. The Ministry of Public Administration, along with the Ministry of Planning, along with Finance, Ministry of Finance as well, because they all three have different roles. One is the plan, one is to know where the money is coming from, and public administration is the overall ministry to see, the structure or development of human capital and human resources and what have you. These three ministries are a must in any project. So if you're building a road, you have to include them. You're going to do the laptop project, you have to include them. So if you have the technocrats, whether they're from the relevant ministries or they are sourced from the outside, what is going to happen is that you're going to develop a cadre of specialized persons. And over time, let's say a year or so, you have a competent bunch of, starting with, the quantity surveyors, project managers, financial persons, and the like, technical persons like technical officers and what have you. So let's say you develop a cadre of 10 to 15 people, and anytime the government has to go into a new project, like they want to go and build a jetty in Tobago, for example, let that same team do the analysis and do the measurement aspects and have persons in that team, run the show for you. Do not depend on a particular ministry by itself to implement projects. So
I mean, like an engineering firm, you have to hire engineering firm.
you have to hire, of course, you have the same thing. You hire engineering firm to do the engineering studies. You hire the quantity surveyors and these type of people too. So you have competencies in a wide variety of, core areas. Who know their stuff. No two ways about that. And I think in the public service, you may not have that capability, or if it's there, it's very limited. You need more from a private sector scenario to.
Yeah, but not only that, the work ethics,
This is what
is not good.
you can't blame the public servants too much, because they are limited, very
Yeah.
limited on what they do. Because every time you look at any project done by a particular ministry, there's always cost overruns. Do you check it and see?
Cost overrun is the second name of the PNM.
The Tobago Airport
From the
project.
time I growing up, cost overrun and overrun it goes together.
I mean, you have a project in Tobago called the Crown Point Airport project. It's cost nearly 1.5 billion, but you have 450 million cost overrun. That is what percentage of that? 50% cost overruns? And this is what you get when you have, appointees who are limited in their capability of performing on the job. You get all this. So this is what you get. This is what you get. There's no, system of accountability. And by the way, they don't tell you that. They tell you that at the end, when they're at the handover. They don't tell you that when the project is 70-80% into the work. That what, because of this bad weather, because of non-availability of materials, project has gone up by X amount of dollars. No, but 450 million? That's a chump change, my friend. So I don't know. So again, if you have this core team of specialists who are into projects, over time, in a very short run, you will have a cadre of skilled professionals to do the implementation of projects. And this is where most good plans fall through the cracks. Because if it's done in the right way, you can be able to measure the project from the time you start to the time you finish, if it's done the right way. So in the absence of that, when you have a limited capability of your implementation team, things just go haywire. And sometimes you think that is by design, because every time you change the scope of a project, you change the price. Simple. So if you say, I don't want this wall to be here, instead of having 5 rooms in the upper level, I only want two rooms. Change the scope.
But that's why we have AutoCAD, right?
Yeah, AutoCAD does all this for you. So I think sometimes I get the impression that these things are done deliberately to create the avenues for cost overruns. So you just have to know where that money goes, or you can think for yourself who gets that, why is it, and it gives you the impression that these things are deliberately done for people to get money in their pockets or something like that. You know? So, $2 billion to find to renovate and complete schools is not Trump change, my dear. Where are you going to get us in an economy already strapped in trying to get funding to complete other priority areas? And this is just Ministry of Education. Okay? This is just Ministry of Education. But like everything else, you have to look at the data and see which or where are the schools to be brought on stream, see the location, see the completion date, and these things you have to. But the data is critical. It's the most important thing, because if you may be in an area that you're going to spend a lot of money to bring in a big secondary schools, and you don't have the data or the amount of students to fill the classrooms. So
Well, I mean, the demand we definitely know is very high on that. I mean, there is no question whether we will have enough students. But what I want to see is we have to do things in a way. I mean, I think our children has so much difficulty getting, to and fro from school. The security issues we have to deal with. Putting the police in the school. All the nurses, the social service, everything.
yeah, yeah. So
Uh, wel-
what they can
Welcome,
do?
Captain Singh. You hearing us? Captain Singh, are you hearing us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have a
Yes, good
Caroni boy
morning
here
or
jumping
good
in
night to
here.
everyone on the chat. I
Yes, Gary, if I may just continue a little bit again. Um,
Yeah,
what
continue, continue.
what we can do, rather than going full scale into these schools and trying to bring them on
okay, I
stream,
think I'm
we
coming
can
in
do it
really
on a
bad here.
phase.
Can you hear me
We can
now?
do it. We can do it on a phase basis, based on need
I'm
and
gonna
based on
log
the
off and try to log back in at a different location here. Okay?
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Singh.
yeah. So we can do it on a phase basis rather than trying to get everything completed one time. So in that way, you can spread around the funding a little bit, and as things improve, you're adding another wing or so, as the case may be, or complete the electrical in the agri section. You do things where there's the most pressing need to be done. So if you figure out, the Form 1s and Form 2s, we have a critical shortage of space for Form 1 and Form 2 students. Let that be the order of priority in these incomplete schools, that you do the Form 1s and Form 2 and leave the Form 5 and Form 6 for later on, probably the next year or the next year after, and so on. So again, the data will tell you that the spread of the population and
Yeah,
how
but
many.
we really cannot open an incomplete school, even though you
No,
might
you
want
can
to.
coordinator of construction wise, and you can have 3 4 months, 3 4 2s going up the road. So the next buy, it gives you some leverage to buy time and
Yeah.
get more financing, because it's a financial crunch. Anyhow, you look at that, to do all these projects at the same time or start
No, no,
them
we,
at the
we,
same
we,
time.
we won't be able to do it all at the same time, but we have to focus where it's needed the most.
That's what I'm saying. The,
Yeah.
the data will tell you that how many Form 1s, Form 2s, Form 3s, Form 4s are on stream and what year that is
And
going to
the
happen.
geographic location too, we want to
Yes,
eliminate we
yes,
want to eliminate the length of travel for these children.
yes. That geographic discrimination has found the teeth in our, education system, which should never, never, never have happened. And that is one of the breeding grounds with so much social implication that we're seeing today. What has happened?
Welcome, Captain Singh. Are you hearing us now? You seem
Yes,
to be.
yes, I can hear a lot better. I'm calling in from Vietnam, so my internet is kind of sketchy where I'm at. I wanted to highlight a few things concerning town and country planning. This will affect all UNC areas and other areas and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's not just a constituency issues within the heartland of the UNC, but it's all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. My family has been in Caroni East for 115 years. And with that 115 years, we've owned land since 1911. With that in mind, we have not been able to get any town country planning permission, meaning that all the land, if you try to access any of the loans to build a home, if you have a large parcels of land and you have children and you want to subdivide it and give individual lots, you cannot do it. I've been in limbo for the last 20 years with town and country out of Port of Spain. And the last thing I got from one of my properties that I wanted to develop is that in accordance with their framing policy, I'm still under agriculture and forestry reservations. I'm a stone thrown away from the Piaco International Airport. So this is one thing I hope that this government that has come in under Ms. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar will be able to fix immediately, because we cannot access any loans. We cannot go to the banks for anything to do any development. And this is private sector funding of these projects, which will increase business in Caroni East, Caroni Central, or anywhere else in Siparia, or anywhere else that you have people that have lands that they want to do a legal subdivision. So what this is creating is a lot of hardships for all the elder folks. You die interstate and you can't subdivide anything, so you have bickering and fighting with all the family members. One project that I have for a piece of property, which is about 3 to 4 acres in size, is a medical laboratory. This has taken me 15 years to get the permission to go ahead and rezone this to institutional, the land. But I'm only allowed in-depth planning permission, meaning 150 feet is all they're going to give me. The rest has to stay in conservation. If I need extra size of the building, I am restricted. Why is there restrictions for the UNC areas? If anyone wants to come in and give me an answer on that, I would love to hear it. And why it is that Port of Spain will stymie the process for us. They will put it on the list. I was told that one of my documents will take 12 months from the basement of the Eric Williams building in Town Country to get to the minister's desk to be signed when I was given approvals for the laboratory. Gary, you want to come in on that?
Yeah, Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh will be good at this. Mr. Singh, you want to respond?
Yes.
We have two Mr. Singh here. Mr. Suman Singh is with us. He's a little familiar with that. Mr. Suman Singh.
Yes, I do have planning permissions for the laboratory now, but WASA has taken me 5 years. 5 years to get to the approvals for the septic and wastewater treatment, and then it'll go to CUVA for the health authorities to give me I think a health certificate stamp on it. Fire has been done, and then with this now, I can go before the banks and ask for a loan if I was going to use a loan to do it.
We were talking about something similar to what you experienced when you were setting up that lab project about getting information from one floor to the next floor, right, Mr. Singh?
Yes.
So you could jump in.
It generally takes you a month to move from one floor to the next floor.
And it's 12 floors, so it takes you 12 months to get to the top of the minister's desk.
This
is ridiculous.
The guy was absolutely correct. He's just telling you the truth.
But I'm saying, I mean, come on. I mean, there's a stack of papers. You go to work, like I go to work. I'm ex-military. I'm retired, U.S. Army, and I get my job done. Efficiency, how you expect to have the government of Trinidad and Tobago alone doing the work? We, the citizens, want to do work. We want to be able to have an impact. We're not waiting on the government for this handouts. We can go ahead and do it. We have foreign investors like myself who will go in and invest $2 or $3 million into a project, which will benefit the citizens and create income.
And not to mention a lot of employment through the construction
I guess they don't use the email and they cannot attach the document.
Well, another thing, I'm looking at the numbers here after the elections. You're looking at Caroni East with 30,000 um, persons eligible to vote. So there's 30,208 people registered to vote. You have Caroni Central at 31,460. Then you look at La Brea with 26,616. And when you look at the map, you've seen a large area of yellow. And you have a lot of people saying, well, La Brea, there's a lot more density in there. But how did they get density in there? Because Town Country gave them the planning permission to do it. Now, when you
formula.
not necessary, Captain.
Well, not necessarily, but you do have government input and approvals, and they may have housing there built by NHA or whatever entity takes on now, right? And it's taxpayers' money going to do that, but you don't build any of that in Caroni Central or Caroni East. Not that I would want to live in one of those, but I'm saying if we are to subdivide our land, first thing I want to say is if I have a piece of land and I'm 50 years old and I have 10 children and I want to give them a piece, I cannot do it. So the children can never move out of my house and go on their own. Nor can it be a legal, a final solution for all the problems that we may have. And this thing will remain in limbo in probate. I have a matter in probate now for over 15 years, actually, in another piece of property that I'm talking about here. So, you'd want to have the elders in our society to be able to transfer before they pass away or whatever decisions they make legally, and you cannot do it.
It's the same problem the farmers are having where they're trying to get a land tenure too. Everything is taking forever.
No, you talk about land tenure for maybe state lands, but I'm talking about this is land.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but you see the similar kind of thing going on,
yes,
where they want to keep us under duress and suppress so that we cannot succeed. That's the whole idea.
Well, it's geographic discrimination, one, and two. If you prevent me, if you say we have loans, right, and we have investment loans, just apply. But you go over there and say, look, I want to build this laboratory. I need $3 million to do it. Right? I'm a medical doctor. I'm trained in the US. I've worked in Germany. I'm going to come do this thing. And you say, well, first of all, you have to have outline approval. Then you have to go and draw this drawing that's going to cost you $100,000.
Yes.
Before you get to that point, and then watch, it's going to take you 2 to 3 years to get this thing done. Before you can get to that point, you're in a hole. You got to dip into your pocket. That's not the way business works. That's not the way business works. And I think that this government has the opportunity now in the 10, maybe I think it is, that they can go ahead and make a decision and look at the Town Country framing policy and change all of it. Because nowhere in the world you have an international airport. And what do we have in St. Helena? Anything south of the airport? What do we have north of the airport? There's nothing. And we ourselves cannot develop anything because we cannot get the funding, because we cannot get the policy to change. Because no bank is going to give you funding based on something that's agriculture.
Now, the airport is not a good example, if I may add, because that is international regulations. There must be nothing between 3 to 450 meters on either side of an airport. The only exception I know, because I have traveled throughout Europe several times, all the countries, North America, Canada, and so on, the Caribbean, most airports abide by that regulation, except the new latest.
Yeah, but where he's located, it won't, because he's about 15-20 minutes away from the airport, and what he's trying to do there wouldn't interfere with that.
No, that's what I'm saying. But the only place that has happened, to my knowledge, is in Trinidad and Tobago specifically. Some houses adjoin the airport perimeter fence.
That's not. No, that's not what I'm talking. No,
I don't know. I'm just telling you from my experiences there.
You have seen in Tobago that took place.
Several houses adjoin the fence and then the road.
Right.
And then houses again.
No, I'm not disputing what you say. What I'm saying is, I'm in St. Helena, and I need I need to have these policies changed so I can go ahead and increase the number of housing privately. I'm going to inject some money into that and build
Right.
maybe 40 townhomes, which would add maybe 300 families in there. So my increase from the voting block would be from 30, maybe add 1,000 people in there. You have 31,000 people in that area now. It will create jobs. It will have economic activities in that area. I'm not gonna be able to do any of this unless I have the correct policy approvals that I can take to the bank.
Right.
Until then, uh, I I am being prevented from being able to be an entrepreneur. The government says, well, be an entrepreneur. Let's diversify the economy. Well, we cannot do it if we don't have the approvals. They given
Correct.
me for 3 acres of land. They given me one residential house for homestead purpose. What does that mean in 2025? This is this is this is absolutely ridiculous that town country would even propose on a 3 acre parcel that you'll get one residential home for homestead
Okay, Captain Singh,
activities.
I know the Prime Minister was very aware of that problem, and she decided that she will pursue the concept of having a sort of one-stop shop for all new buildings coming on stream. So that may be the answer to your issues.
Well, I will tell you for my laboratory, town country did give me 3 floors, three
Okay.
floors, and I think I'm not too sure if I'm within the air zone at Piaco. But on the north side, where you have Orkun Gardens, they've gone 5 floors, I believe. Yeah, above 4 floors over there. So the airspace there, and there's no light on it. So the tower is at 60 feet roughly, I think it is. So I don't think that's height is not going to be a problem now. But what we do need is these matters to be changed in town country to have the planning person, whoever is in charge of the Ministry of Planning, to look at it immediately. And the person who's in charge right now, Mr. Pariag, he cannot do anything once unless the policy has been changed. And we
Legislation.
have
Yes.
yes, the legislation has to be changed. There's nothing he can do about it. I understand that.
Yes.
So legally, we need this thing to be done. They need to relook at everything. Also, in my area, there's been no drainage done, and I'm not talking about cleaning drains. I'm talking about building lakes to hold the water from the heavy rainfall.
The
The-
retention.
I would say
Retention.
more than retention here in Georgia, in Fort Stewart. I've sent many examples because I'm able to go on the base and film and look at the Corps of Engineers what they've done, and they've done like 40-acre, 30-acre ponds located in certain areas in Fort Stewart, Georgia, where the water is able to drain into and hold for at least a month. And it's a simple thing to do with a gravity flow, so there's no need for a pump or anything like that.
I
Uh,
mean, but you have to build the runoff drains to get to the
right? Yes.
to the area.
Yes, you can do all of that. But if you want to have all of that go straight into the ocean and the you have heavy rainfall and the Caribbean dumping, then the water's going to back into the land. So I'm saying that if you have large lakes done, not retention ponds, lakes, at least a minimum of 25 to 80 acres, and we have land in Caribbean to do it, we will never have any flooding problems again. It's a simple thing. They'll have to look at the water courses where they run and then design the holding lakes. And that area would end up a green spot for all the animals. You could even have parks and recreation like you have in the US. You'll have the scallop ibis coming back into the land. So I think there's a lot of possibility for ecotourism. You have a lot of possibility for hotels. You have a lot of possibility for restaurants. Now that you stand on the side of the street and eat the doubles, and that's the best that we can do. I think that this is the right government. I think this is the right group of thinkers, and I think they have the right acumen for work, and they will get it done. But we have to push it up to the prime minister herself. It's no longer starting from the bottom going up. It has to be a multi approach to different members of parliament so everybody will know, hey, this is important. Because if you tell me TTMF is going to give me a 1% loan at $1 million to go build a single family residence. And I have 5 children, and I give everybody one lot of land. First of all, I can't legally subdivide it because it's saying no, you can't subdivide it. Outline permission will be denied. So now none of the children can own a piece of land legally, and none of them can go and get the funding. So what we have to do, we have to work every month, save a little bit of money, and we build and we build, and that's how we build it. And still, we can never get a completion certificate because the place isn't approved
Correct.
by town and country.
Absolutely.
So I think, Gary, this is a great forum that you have here.
Yeah, well,
I've
this
reached
this
out.
is this is this is the objective, Captain saying here. And first, I added you to our WhatsApp group that most people are there. So if you have to make a point, you make a point. So I would add you to something else so you can get more in details with it. But yes, we want to bring the ideas forward as early as possible. We do know that it will take the government some time to get it done, but we want to do bring the ideas up front and reiterate those ideas.
And this
Well,
is
I
this problem was identified, Captain Singh. With all due respect, it was identified by the current government, and they promised to do something about it by centralizing all the application processes in basically
well,
one location. So your WASA clearance, your local health
Yeah,
authority
what I
clearance.
had proposed was a multi-purpose government building. So when you
Yeah,
go to get something done, you don't have to go 100 place. So that was
sounds
what
good.
they,
well,
that's what I would recommend.
A one-stop
well,
shop.
Mr. Sumat Singh, I'll tell you this.
And
I am
before you go, we could create that. We need to create that in several geographic locations of the country, not just Port of Spain base.
Yes, and I would like for it to be online. So most of it is online. I do have access to develop TT. I can send you the number of application that has been applied for in my area in St. Helena. And out of the 1,000 that's there, that's populated on the map, you'll see maybe one got approved in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So these people are living and they may have a job and they cannot do anything, but they have to live in a substandard housing. We're not asking for a handle. We're not asking for a NHA house, or we're not asking for what is called now. It's missing me right now. But we're asking to develop our own lands and to transfer property to children and the grandchildren legally before we can't do it right now. So everything remains in limbo, and the estate goes to lawyers, and the lawyers are eating a lot of money now doing the transfers and the subdivision and all of this. We can solve a lot of legal problems if we can get these things done. Outline planning permission to subdivide land and change the use policies. In addition, if you have contact with Mr. Saddam Hussein, who I think is a young lawyer, a brilliant young man, um, he needs to have an idea what's going on. Also, Mr. Kenny, I think Mr. Sarat Singh, he is in from St. Joseph. He should be the Minister of Planning,
He
Right, yeah.
is. He is.
and he needs. I don't have a number for him, but he needs to know this. And
Well,
also the Prime Minister herself needs to know this because, me being an officer in the army, I always wanted to know what was going on below me and what is so essential to start to stimulate the economy into jobs, right? Right now I have men sitting there and I can't start the work. I've spent maybe $1 million in the last 30 days fixing the levels of the property, and that's completed now. But I can't do anything. I can't even bring in the machine to do the auger piling to test for the depth that I need to put this building down.
Right.
And
Yeah. Do you
that's
have to pile? Do you have to pile?
Oh yeah, definitely. If I'm building, I'm building for the future. So I said if I have 3 floors, I definitely want to pile, and I want to do an endpoint piling.
Mm.
Um, so the machine will go down and dig maybe 3 boreholes at 100 feet, and they'll find wherever the solid bedrock is before we decide the depth that we got to go, because that area is aluminum soil,
Yes. Correct.
and we want to make sure that we have the correct size of steel and everything to take the weight of
Mhm.
this building, because this area is zoned, one of the properties is zoned institutional, meaning that I can
When
go
you
ahead
and see
and
wins, everybody wins.
people, ex-people that I worked with in the army for dialysis, a lot of experts, and they can come during the summer program. But I can't do any of it because we we cannot get off the block here with the permission. It's taken years and years to get this done. And I hope everyone that's listening here, if they have any influence, just go ahead and send it up to the relevant people in charge, and at least somebody might say, "Hey, we got to look at this." Now, remember, my grandparents came from India, roughly 1890s, and they bought this property in 1911 from Mr. Frederick Herrera, 1910, and they signed in 1911. So this is land that is pre-Trinidad and Tobago government from 1962. This is not Carney Limited land. This is not leased land. This is owned land, deeded land that was bought for $57.64. And I can't do anything. You holding me ransom. I have never seen a more discriminatory type of system for people that live in Carinese and the central and the hinterland of the UNC areas. So this is why I asked Gary to link me on so I can come in and highlight this thing. And I can send you all the documents I have. All the documents I have, I can send you from 1911 until now. 115 years. And you telling me I am to do agriculture, forestry, and to homestead? And I could not go in depth. And they're very crafty, you know. In-depth planning permission, I mean, you can't go more than 150 feet inside the property. So now I'm causing congestion on the main road.
Main road, yes.
Right, and it limits the amount of people to come to my office. So if I have capacity to do dialysis for 1,000 people, where am I gonna have these people parked? Because technically, I'm not supposed to go into the area that is zoned for agriculture, because only the in-depth area I can use for business. So business for us must be small, and business for other people must be large. That's how I see it. And if anyone disagree with me, you know, just look at the facts. I mean, the facts is a stubborn thing, and you can't deny it. You cannot deny this whatsoever. All the
There's one
information is
difference.
there.
There's
Yeah.
one difference. UNC is in government now.
Well, yes, and this
We got to
program,
flush and your ideas and your suggestions. I want to encourage everyone to come forward. I mean, a lot of people came forward, like yourself, during the how to say, the consultation for the manifesto. You know, the prime
okay,
minister
Gary,
herself
I'm
took a
gonna
lot
get
of
off the
ideas.
line now. Okay,
Oh,
I'll listen offline. Okay,
all right then. Yeah, all right. Thanks. Oh, we'll talk later. Yeah. So,
Yes,
I
Gary,
mean,
what I was
go
saying that
ahead. Go ahead.
the Prime Minister recognized this is a problem. This is a big problem, especially town and country approval in all areas, south, central, north, and in Tobago as well. So that is one of the pressing issues, and I hope that the Ministry of Planning take cognizance of that, Mrs. Swarat Singh, and try to treat with it as at his earliest convenience, because that is one sector. If you start, the construction center is one of the quick fix that can happen and take root. Especially if people are already have their financing and so on in place. You
Well,
know.
you know, listen to me. We know the deal, right? The idea is to keep us in limbo, right?
Yes.
So we in
That
government now, we fought hard for it, and we just have to remind those that are there now that about what the issues are. We keep the issues in their face as much as possible. We have to give them some time to adjust themselves also.
absolutely, absolutely.
So the prime minister will deal with it. The government will deal with it, but they need some time to settle it.
Yeah, but not only that, there are several issues like that need to be solved like yesterday. So that is just one more added to the crop of things that they need
Yeah,
to
so
do. But they will do.
that builds the how to say, builds the platform or the collateral for legislation change, right?
Yes, legislation has to be changed or implemented to make this thing effective. And there's also things like provisional approval and so on. They can implement these things as quick fix measures, because sometimes in Trinidad you got to take cognizance of the fact that our weather patterns and change drastically every 6 or 5 months, so that in the dry season you will want to do most of your piling and that's your groundwork. So it's a timing issue as well. So we need to be really mindful of these things. In the rainy season it becomes difficult as the soil is more waterlogged and so on to do any sort of deep piling. So it is a timing issue, and if like provisional approval can be given so that you could do the earthworks and so on, at its earliest and most convenient time in the dry season. So this is but there's definitely a valid complaint the gentleman has, and like everything else, there are solutions, so you have to work with it.
Yeah, I've known the gentleman for a while, and he's been dealing with these issues down there. And unfortunately, PNM came back into office and kind of really put him in limbo. But hopefully that I know we're going to deal with it. Just a matter of time that we get our chance to analyze things and start to lay out the issues.
Yep.
All right, then. So, is there anything else that we want to cover at this point? I think we
I
can wrap
know.
it up.
Well, the education sector was one of the main areas that I was concerned about. So I think I covered it out to my content. So
Right. And yeah, myself, but yeah.
also, we can also discuss going forward what we see. And I will also like to mention in particular, the students we have today, you need to train them for the world of work. And that may include some curriculum changes as we go along. We are thinking of having Ministry of Technology and AI to be absorbed within the public admin ministry. But to undertake AI, the core of artificial intelligence is data. If you don't have data, there can be no AI. It's impossible. I went through
But
the process.
do we have the infrastructure right now to manage it? This is the next thing we have to see. Look, you have to look into that and see how much infrastructure we have to build to maintain this technology.
There are a lot of components, and if you have it misdiagnosed, you're not going to get anywhere. So the first thing starts with the curriculum, because that is going to take some time. So you could start to put that in train. And the thing is about it is that how are we collecting data at this point in time? How are each ministry collecting that? Is there a standardized format or no? That's the first question to be answered. That the Ministry of Health may be having a different data collection system from the Ministry of Agriculture. But generally, for AI to be, work at its best, as its optimum, you need to have data collected in what's called a CSV format, comma separated value format. And once that is done, it becomes easier to manipulate the data, to draw conclusions from the data, and how to massage the data and look for things like, enterprise risk analysis and so on, which simply means that your success rate, how successful you think what are the probability of failures or successes in it. So data is the core. Data is what's called the fuel. If you like a car, you could have a Maybach, and you don't have gasoline, It ain't going to go nowhere unless it's electric, electric, full EV. So this is the thing. So that, you got to start training, your students on things like database management system. You got to be training them on statistics. Got to be training them on things like linear algebra, multiple regression, linear regression, and all the statistical concept of mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance analysis, all these things. So the mathematical syllabus has to be reconfigured for those students who want to get into technology and AI. You understand? So they start at that point. Now, the whole idea of AI is it is just a tool. We don't let anybody fool you. AI is just a tool to make you, or hopefully make you, more productive and more efficient on what you're doing.
A tool to aid whatever you're doing. It can be handy in a lot of aspects.
You can whatever it is, it increases your efficiency big time, and it increases your productivity as well. So with that in mind, if you want to become productive, you want to become more efficient, you want to handle a much more volume that we normally handle at this point in time, like one person can do 5 persons job. Hey, some people may like that, some people may not like that. That's a problem that was faced when computers came in, was adopted widely in the public service. I can tell you that. I was there. Yeah. I did my project.
By it, but what we're looking to do is to speed up the service delivery.
Right. So even thinking about speeding up service delivery, man, the AI is going to help you by leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds, as I mentioned before, in areas like healthcare. It's tremendous impact for diagnosis of things like all the X-rays and MRIs and CAT scans.
Remember the paranoia about computers that was going to take people jobs and take over the world, and it created more jobs.
That happens only in the short term. After 4 or 5 years, there are so many different aspects. Now remember, see, it all starts with understanding what AI is all about, my friend. There are different components in AI, just like in medicine. You don't find a doctor who is a specialist cardiologist, a neurologist, endocrinologist.
All depending on the information technology at this point.
There are different aspects of AI which you can specialize, which are massive.
And it's helping with the diagnosis. Tremendously on target.
On target, and not only. Just 2 years ago, as I told you, the accuracy rate of these AI equipment was just about 78%. Today is 94%. It's much better than human intervention. Much better than some of the specialist doctors. If you get a 94% accuracy in all your MRIs, interpretation from your radiologists and so on, it's so accurate. And could you imagine over the next 2 years what the probability can become?
Well, Mr. Singh, we have heard more about digitization talk than actual digitization.
Well, that's been happening for 10 years now. Just talk, but not anything other than that.
I think they feel important. That's trying to pronounce these big words,
Yeah, because as I tell you, in the early 80s, the thing in the world, all these MBAs and so on, were cash is king, cash is king. 20 years later, in year 2000, content was king. Content was king because everything was online. The internet was now starting up. And since 2020, data is king. So they shifted from cash to content to data. And if we're already 5 to 6 years behind the curve, Us meaning us in Trinidad. So we'll be always be playing catch up. Let's see how it goes. Again, it all depends on who is talking and who is doing.
Yeah, but
But
some people want to keep things just restricted to a certain grouping of people and keeping the
that's
majority of the population ignorant of the fact. But
yes.
it does not benefit the country on a whole
So
for that
my
kind of
point,
thinking.
my point is, if we're going to develop that skilled labor force to man all these operations in the growth poles that has been identified, 11th or the 13th growth poles, everything, all those growth poles are technology related, and AI will be the biggest component of implementing whatever that needs to be implemented. You check trade or you check tourism. I was in a tourism conference this week. How AI is impacting hospitality. Man, at university here, it's affecting every single industry. So if you want to be in the world of work, and I can tell you the research here in the US shows that 80% of the current workforce in the US has to be retrained over the next 2 years. So they are already seeing the problem. Could you imagine in Trinidad, but this has not taken root yet? We are training people to do what? Come out to shuffle paper as it is? As we say in the public service, we shuffling paper around. How is it this is going to impact the modern day workforce? We planning to set up a biotechnology hub in the East-West corridor.
Well, we
What
need
is
some AI to help people get off their chair too, in Trinidad.
Well, that's what I say. Understanding it is the trick in the first place to see how it can help. AI in business, AI in education, AI in healthcare. I've done these three things basically, and I know the procedure. But like everything else, who is going to implement? Who are they going to hire to do these things?
Well, you people outside feel all more than everybody and always want to come and take
That's
over here.
right.
You know what I mean? All
And
right.
this is the problem. Because I can tell you under the laptop project, when we started that project, it was such a beautiful project and well thought out, but the implementation and where it started running into some problems because we didn't have the connectivity, the broadband connectivity to the schools. So when you have a lab of 40 computers working at this concurrently, and then you build 3 or 4 more labs, what's going to happen? System slows down, or there's little or no connectivity for the rest of them. So issues like these, and then you had a problem with the teachers. We had to buy computers for all the teachers as well, 4,000 computers for teachers and staff. Then you have to employ computer technicians who work in the labs in the school. 140 computer technicians.
To
Where
install
can
and
you?
upgrade all the software, the design for the Ministry of Education, all that thing, right?
No, that was just to help the teachers along in the classrooms.
Yeah, but what about the software design for the school system? Was that pre-designed?
The software design for the school system was already proven software, so there was little or no interaction or maintenance of that.
So it was already installed in the laptops. Is that what you're saying? But
Yes,
don't you have to do like mass? Don't you have like mass installation like in a lab to put these things in the computer to customize it to suit Trinidad?
yeah, you could do the nice thing that you can implement. Gary, this system was like this. It should have been like
No, but
this.
when I'm saying when you got the laptops from scratch, right? Then
Yes,
you had to how to say build them to suit the Ministry of Education for the kids, right? You had to install a lot
yes,
of software and thing in that for that,
yes.
right?
Yeah, it's come preloaded or whatever was there to be bought was bought. Whatever the curriculum guy said we should have, we
But
put
the
those.
rollout now, I'm just saying the rollout. You need to have a
Yes,
lot of people there to do that additional rollout for it, right?
yes, but not too much. basic things are basic things. You must have Microsoft installed in your computer software at the backbone. And then you have the back office as well. So printing capabilities, ability to transmit data, projects, your schoolwork from one point to the professor, the teacher, so they can get it and correct it back and send it back to you, and so on. So as a project, as a laptop project, it gives students the opportunity to get familiar with it, and then to go forward as you're doing your assignments on it and send it in electronically. And you, as a student, develop typing capability and learning how to manipulate the keyboard and so on, all the shortcuts and Windows features and so on. So these things came over time. That skill set came over time. So let's say the student, by the time they reach Form 4 or Form 3, they are current, how to manipulate their projects, how to structure things, and how they can type more efficiently. And then on the evenings, they could be able to teach their parents, in the night teach their elders or teach their other brothers and sisters or siblings about computers and show them the things. So that was one of the objectives of it as well. So you teach your grandpa, grandma what the computer can do for you. And when Google came on the stream, they were able to search for things which they don't know what causes a volcano to erupt. So all your geography lessons and so on can be, seen with practical examples. So these were the benefits of it all. So imagine for 10 years, students did not have this capability. And with the incomplete schools and in the amount of incomplete schools, that generation has missed the capability of developing high-end, educational training to enter the job market. So we have literally regressed over the past 10 years simply because of the laptop project. And that's it, my friend. Anything else, Gary, you may wish to touch on? If I may add on the digitization and digitalization, they are not the same thing. They are two different aspects, but all fall under the concept of digital transformation. So one aspect of it is to, digitize all the existing records, like all what you have in your files, existing manual files at this point in time. You digitize it, so you have soft copy of those things. And digitalization is what you see happening in the banks, your banking system. You can do your online banking, you can do your online studies, as the case of the e-books and so on, which is being proposed.
Which is a lot of opportunity for people,
a lot of not only
putting all this information, programming it,
correct.
Rolling all these software into the system, managing the mainframe. There's a lot of work to do.
Database management system is critical. That is critical. So you know where you're sourcing your data from. You can quote your data. And you know what's going to happen, Gary, and what I suggest as a plan to, each ministry has a lot of data, right? Make some of that data,
You're encouraging me to go back to school.
No, make it applicable to assignments.
The tech part of things.
No, yeah, make the data available to students. Certain parts of the data, of course, you don't want to get too much sensitive data, but make certain parts of the data applicable for relevant schoolwork. So they will learn how to access the database, how to manipulate a database, how to query a database. All these skills they will develop. You have enough examples if you get all the data from each ministry and let students, they'll try to solve some practical problems. So you get them interested in the whole thing. So, those who may be in Caroni, ECCE, let them, we have X amount of farmers, they grow this rice, corn, sweet potato, or whatever they grow, and how much pounds they produce.
I think we should have people at the community level in how to say updating, entering this information, because I would like to get built it into a grid system, so we know exactly by how to say the coordinates then, right?
Yeah.
That we have certain information, from that geographic location, of what's taking place. People important data on that particular zone. You know,
So
um,
you see, with that system, let's say only collecting agriculture data, we can tell how many farmers we have in that my
right, right.
county, my ED election district or electoral district. How many farmers that grow cabbage, and how many grow cauliflower, and how many grow tomatoes. So you let students deal with the data and you let them sort the data and how they apply concepts to the data. So it's a practical way of teaching and understanding data. And once you could do that, then then you could think of introducing AI.
This could be part of a school project for for the.
Not of a school. This has to be like 2 years of learning.
No, no, I'm just saying, but the collection of the information, right?
Ministries would have already have data of their particular, whatever data they call. Example, again, you go down to agriculture, they will tell you what's the acreage of arable land in north central, or various locations. What are the areas zoned for agriculture? These things. Ministry of Housing will have housing data, and so on. Ministry of Education will have education. How many students in this particular area are within the age group of 12 to 15? How many male, female, things like that. So there's a lot of data which is there, and you make some of this accessible to students for them to do their work. So you learn on the job, so to speak, without being in a job.
Yeah, I would like to see it become part of a school project, in that that we're doing some of that, because you need a lot of manpower to put that
No.
information.
This is what I said. The teaching process has to be like that. So you give the class a project to do on farmers.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get the data? I will get this data at the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, when I go there, what do I have to do? I have to access their database. So is it going to give me access to the database? So all these things you learn how to do, the practice of doing it. And this is what I'm saying, that so they can learn from a very early age how to manipulate these data. And that is the core. Because if you don't have the data, if there is no data, there is no AI. And then they develop your apps and the agents and the bots and all these things you can do after that. But you have to understand the groundwork, which is like tables. Tables, when you go to school, the first thing they teach you is the table. 2 times table, 3 times, 4 times line, and like that. This is the same concept. You have to have your groundwork fully established and understood. So, you may wish to start it on lower 6 to start this new curriculum, and only make it available for students who are wishing to go into technology and AI, and leave the regular curriculum as it is. That may be an option. and you follow through with that now into the tertiary level, like your UTT and so on. You go a step further, develop your little language models and learn how to apply the concepts you have learned in high school at lower six and upper six, how you can apply these things now into, more practical related areas. So it has to be a process, and it can very well take you about, I say, 4 to 5 years to completely understand it. Because remember, data is a science. That's why data science is data science. It is a science. It's like a science subject, like math and chemistry and physics and bio and zoology and everything. It's a science. So it starts with the curriculum, then it goes on to the high school, upper six, lower six, then it goes on to the tertiary education. So by the time you finish tertiary education, you say, okay, I'm trained in data science / AI, and give me a project, I'll do it for you. Take some of the businesses.
I see Dr. Maharaj jumping in there. Dr. Maharaj, you want to make a little contribution here?
I'm surprised you're all meeting tonight. Are you hearing me?
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know I was on, yeah. No, I just happened to see if you all had anything, and I came over. I thought
I
you were
did
getting.
I did send it to you earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw it. I didn't look at my email. I was looking at my phone. I look at email all the time, but I went to New Jersey today, and I came back a little late. I came back,
Right.
to
So
all
we
the
addressed
phone.
the issues with the school system, the dilapidated school that the ministry is trying to address now because the 106 schools were neglected, so overgrown with grass. They have to kind of renovate some things with internal renovation, and then there's a lot of work to be done. So we instead of we doing a continuation, we have a setback, and but we're gonna deal with it. It's just a matter of a little time. And there was a recent, how to say, uh, interview on CNC3 with, you must have seen that. I posted the link. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but
No,
so we're addressing those things.
yeah. I saw the one about the schools that were left around the rot, and
And
that's the
then
same.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, yeah, I'm saying there's a lot like that. A lot like that. But Mr. Singh could, let you know about that. But I'm saying we have a lot that was done like that. You know.
But so that gave rise to the theme of the UNC. Everybody wins. In the PNM, only some people win. So if those schools were like in a PNM stronghold, those schools would not have rot. It
Well,
tells you that.
they neglect schools in the PNM area too. So because we didn't restrict ourselves to building in the UNC area alone, they try to deny the fact that UNC did any work in the PNM area.
No,
And they spin it.
yeah. No, that's what we're saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that everybody wins is a catchphrase, and in reality is really true. Because the UNC and even Pandey time and even part of Robinson time, they want to bring everybody up. They don't want to say, well, okay, you vote for me, therefore I'll, favoritism and nepotism and all of that. But here's my question that I last night someone said, that struck me, and I don't know who said it. It was, I can't remember which one of them said it. It might be Summit, it might be Mr. Sigul or Siram. Somebody said it. This is a 5-year government, and they boldly said it because they're saying that come next 5 years, when the PNR comes out to vote, the UNC may not be able to generate enough votes.
It
So
may
I
not be as
would like
easy,
to
but
know.
we are hoping.
Yeah, I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you, Gary. It is going to be either
Somebody,
Sumant
somebody else.
or
Yeah. But
someone.
I
And
say,
they boldly came out because that's what I don't want to hear. Really, I mean, I know it could be true, but
well,
I
it's something we have to be conscious of because they're looking at the 110,000 people didn't vote, and maybe because they didn't vote because of Cho Cheong was the selected candidate to be prime minister. I mean, it's obvious. But the fact that penny Beckles is there, maybe the 110,000 may come up the next time round. But what I'm looking at is that our performance should be convincing enough to draw more voters onto ourselves, going forward into the next 2030 election, general election, because of how we handle things, the level of performance delivery, even though we did so in 2010 to 2015 period, we still have, people memory is short, but now all this information, you see, the media in Trinidad is not going to highlight these things too much. You see some here and there reports coming out now because UNC has taken government. But I want to use this platform and encourage others to use their platform to make sure that what we are doing and where we're taking things from must be well documented. You know what I mean? So that it doesn't happen. I didn't think we did a good job with our media in the sense of our government. I think we need more documentation because there were still people up to just before the election denying the fact that we built 106 schools when the physical structure was staying new. I mean, how big is Trinidad? 106 schools is looking you in the face. If you take a drive, you will see it. You will see the overgrown grass. In fact, maybe they couldn't see because the grass was overgrown. The bushes, didn't look like anything. But so they were trying to deny the fact that it is. And they're sitting in their corner, and some of them might be outside the country, old PNM supporters trying to deny the fact.
Yeah, but Gary, um, we only in this because we want this government to succeed, number one, and we want this government to succeed another 10 years. We want to be in this for 15 years, or else really forget it, because you could only clear up the mess in 5 years, really. The mess that they created, you could a million of them. We could show how much school run now, what that is not going to change anybody's mind. You see what it did from 2010 and 2015? That is out of the window. It's the counting starts from yesterday, whatever day they had that press conference when they say, well, we're going to work now. All the ministers get the portfolio, they're going to work. The counting starts from now, but Trinidad is not a fair place. It's not a place where you can say, oh, you know what, give the guy a chance and so on and so on. They they had last week. I think Sumant was also nodding when I was saying things like the role of the party between elections is what's going to make them win the next 5 years. Right now, we have 5 years in the bag, and we had to hold it together. I want to tell some about it in a minute, but you have to hold this one together. First of all, secondly, is you have to make it sure that whatever comes out in the end, that there be sufficient, not PNM voters you're referring to now. You're referring to the non-committal. Let me tell you this.
The non-affiliated
1986.
voters, the non-affiliated voters. We have to
Right.
win our own people.
That's my point I'm coming to you now. In 1986, it was the young people who voted for the first time. The people that came out in droves. It was not the PNM, although Selwyn Ryan, those who do in polls, Trinidad polls are jokes, right? These people who do polls in Trinidad are jokers. Sometimes they get it correct. It's not all the time they're wrong, but I mean, but many of them do okay. I telling Selwyn Ryan at that time, he was saying it was a mass crossover from the PNM to vote for the NAR. Lie. It was
No
the
way,
new
no way, no way.
uncommitted voters that was doing that. That's why the poll was the 66, and it was 69% came out. It's unlike this time,
And
53%.
it's just like this time, especially those young people that got a laptop from Mrs. Bisesa, is they came out. They see a lot of people, young people mobilize and say,
Mhm.
Auntie Kamla did this to me, and they step up, right? So what I'm saying to you is, why we cannot ignore the fact about about what we did between 2010 and 2015, because a lot of especially with the schools and stuff like that, we do have to bring that in the public domain, that we are continuing the advancement, building upon what we did, which was neglected grossly, cause cause much suffering and inconvenience for our population. We could have had a
Yeah,
lot
but
of these
yeah,
schools
but
could have
but,
been.
but it's the yellow. That's the yellow. So that they won't bother. That won't change them. So we know what we have to do. We know what to do. Okay, and I agree with
Politically
your point.
wise, politically
I'm not.
wise, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going against what you're saying. You're correct. Very 100%. But the election would not be won on that. You could clear that up and then let it, that they'll be forgotten. When the next time come around, that's Shiva Boys are government school, Coolins and Pinal and the other one in Reform, and that will be gone. So, but here's a real thing. I since last night when I hear you all talk about the 5 years only. It, the two see those two seats down there in Point 14 and Labre, they have to develop those two areas and push money in it. So, in other words, you see
The
this
area have
trade
to
unions.
benefit from the oil industry that belongs to the area. The area did not belong
That's not, and
to the
you're answering too
resources.
quick.
It didn't benefit.
Think about what I say now, then you go answering along.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
thinking
I'm just
along.
saying. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think all those things are saying, but hear what I'm saying. My, I have been saying this for about 20 years now, or more, maybe 30, 40 years. How could Point 14 and Larry be so dotish that they keep on voting for PNM? Well, I made that point in this meeting sometime before as well. So here's what I would like the party, and I'll be writing, at some point I'll be communicating with somebody over there, that they have to hold on to those two seats down in the deep south. And they could be win over. They could be win over forever. You never won. Only in 1986 you win them. You never win them again. And
No.
then you win them now.
Took
Those
40
2
years.
2.14,
It took 40 years to get back those
right.
seats.
So you want to hold on, and the trade union could do it. That is why you have to walk a nice fine line to maintain your present 5 years with those trade union fellows, especially from the south, who could win those two seats for you. They could do it. If you keep them close to you, they could work on it. They have the right complexion, they have the right race, they have the right ideology. The men is a working class environment. They could take them away from the PNM and hold on to it forever. Once you have those two, you're booked for the 15 years I'm talking about.
Yes, remember
So,
we spoke about that last night, and I agreed with you wholeheartedly. Anybody knows we had the pitch lake there. The pitch lake was the demand generator, so to speak, for Labre. We had the Trentok plant in Point Fort, and that was the demand generator. The communities in both Labre and Point was, average class. They were getting along. They had sources of income from working or some subcontract and so on from the Pitch Lake, from Lake Asphalt, and Trentok, which is the refinery, the little refinery there at Point 14. But all those things have collapsed. Now is the opportune time to bring them back on stream and letting
right.
people
So,
see that, hey, you know what, we have some hope
so
here.
right. So that's the point. That's the point I'm making. I'm making a point. Do something so that these people will never want to see PNM again. And something like that you mentioned, and if that could be pulled through, that is one for definitely.
Well,
Another thing
that
is, I
was their
think,
decision, and we have to keep it up. That was the
right,
decision.
right.
They came out.
So
They came
we
out. They
want to
really
work
step
on
up.
that two seat. We should all keep that two seat within the fold. If you have those two seats, you're kind of good. You kind of get seen another 10. That 5 is next 5 is I'm talking
But
about.
like I
But
said, the performance, we have to assist the government with the performance. We outside who doing voluntarily work have to keep certain information. We have to kind of watch the back of the government and make sure this government doesn't get blindsided. So your suggestion is very important to be made, even though sometimes you may feel they're being ignored. It's just that the government is taking a little time to get themselves together. And let's be steadfast in your suggestion. Stay at it.
That's why this
but
forum is
remember,
important,
remember what
Gary.
we said. Remember what we said last night again. And if I must have been said, I think someone could supported that also. The ministers and them have the plate full. They cannot run a party. So my suggestion last night, which I will be communicating to somebody about this, and you could do it, Gary, because you better position than I could do these things. But we want them to have a deputy, assign someone to function within the party in the NATEX. And they must come to the NATEX as often as possible, maybe once, whenever they have the annual meeting, the National Council meeting, but they should assign someone to fulfill their role. Let's say the education officer or whatever officer in the party, and the guy on the ground, the guy who goes around looking for membership, and what
Sumant,
Gary is
you
saying.
could talk to Peter Kanhai about that. All right.
Yeah, right. People like Peter Can,
Yeah.
and like
I
Gary
I
is saying,
I
like
had
Gary is
asked
saying,
you, Gary, to see if you can get him on the set one of these days.
who
oh
Peter
yeah, one of
Kanhai?
those guys.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
no, listen to
If,
me. Right now, everybody's busy trying to help the government
that's right.
so,
formulate
So
itself.
now
So,
it's
when they
not
said,
that they would. This is not a bad idea. It's just I am staying my focus on getting the government where, with the suggestion. I'm not focusing on party right now. We could give it a month or two, or say 3 months. All right. But the government needs to get into full gear, focus on what needs to be addressed, what's need to be handled immediately. And they have a lot of information. It's not like they don't know. It's just a matter of putting the structure in place, flushing out the glitches that with the management there, they will have to deal with it also. Just like how we were talking about the PS and the party card, people trying to slow it down and it taking 12 months for people to reach from the ground floor to the 12th floor. All these kind of stupid things we have to deal with it. So as they encounter these things, we outside here and we see issues, we will take it on. We will take it on. I'm looking to expand this team. I'm looking to expand this team with qualified people, to assist the government, and I'm encouraging everyone to be a brand ambassador of TNT. Nobody has to appoint you. You are a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Take it upon yourself to promote your country, and most of our people are very good at that culturally, and especially with the cultural part of things, the food and things. They're big at that. But look at avenues in promoting our goods, assist those on the ground, especially like our farmers, and then create an avenue for them to market their goods into the U.S. territory or whatever country you're located. Because
so that's the point, Gary. Gary, you might be an exception. Because many people would not think like you, and that's the point I'm making. We got to have some kind of organization going, so
yes,
those
but give us
people
give
who
us
are
at
not
least three
committed
months,
like
Doc.
you.
Give us at least 3 months. Give us at least 3 months to
No,
formulate the government and
we're
put
not saying
things
to
in place.
rush. What we were talking about now is because until this started last night when somebody said this is a 5-year government, I get very very scared when I heard that because I
I
don't want.
Yeah.
I know it could be true, but I really don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Really.
No, no, we have to do everything. We have to do everything to avoid that fact of just being a 5-year government because we cannot work so hard. We cannot work so hard to revamp the economy, put all these things in it, and let the PNM come and do the destructive thing that they did and cause our people to suffer. Our people, we have to keep pointing out these things to these people so that they
Right.
know And I mean, some of them might not need too much reminder, but they know what they went through, and then some might be have to be reminded down the road, and some might become a little impatient with us because. But the thing about it, I am asking our citizens on the diaspora on the global platform to play a role. Doing nothing is not an option.
that's
You
right.
can do something. I look where I am. I didn't choose to do nothing. I use everything
That is,
accessible to me.
okay. We need 100,000, Gary. We need 100,000 like you. You alone cannot do it.
No, I know that. I've been trying. I've been asking for help, but
Yeah, yeah, but that is the point.
before the
That is the
election,
point.
nobody was coming on board. Now
The,
that
the,
Adi Kamla win, everybody will jump on board.
they will jump out, they go jump out the same way they want to jump in now, they'll jump back out later. So
Well,
that's what it,
I want them to jump on and stay on and go forward and give them a reason for staying forward. So what I'm saying to you,
but
I don't want to
Gary,
see we create.
Gary,
Listen, I don't want to see
you
we
see,
create that atmosphere where we encourage people. We must create a stream, a platform, and a channel for communication ideas and make it the ideas acceptable. Where we're not ignoring the people, we're not functioning in a way like before, where you just tell people, yeah, 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 nothing happens, no follow up, no follow through. We outside here to function at some point as some kind of ambassadorship. We don't need nobody to appoint us. We're going to handle it. We're going to address the issue as we are among the people. Dr. Maraj in New York, in Queens, you know of some issue, you have some ideas, we run with it. Suman is in Miami, same thing. Suman build the team out there. I'm in New Jersey, I do the best I can. Look how much people I have brought on board, just remotely, not even being engaged. I'm not even among Trinidadians. Where I'm at, I'm not in a Trinidad community. I'm not in a Caribbean community. So it makes it more difficult to me. So I had to work harder. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
No, but you do a good job. I mean, we'll talk about you after. I really want to talk about you much, really. I want to talk about the fact that all Kamala and her, at some point, what she has to do is to answer the question I said. What is the role of the I'm talking about a real role. I'm not talking about a namesake role. I'm talking about an effective role of the NATEX between election. And by NATEX, I really mean not only them, but I mean the party groups. How many party groups they have in the country? Who run what? Does Kamala and all these people know the name of these people? The parliamentary arm of the UNC have a different function than the party functions. They must not dominate the party. The party must feed them along, like Gary is saying. Support the ministers, support the MPs, push them forward because they are the one, that's the face, that's the one the press looking at to give the picture. You got to push them, you got to lie behind them, you got to push them, you got to go on the byways and the highways like Gary is doing and argue for your government. That's what the PNM people do. Argue for your government, tell them where they right, tell them where they run, tell them why 5 years alone is not enough because they can't keep a clean and mess up that is 60, 65 years in the making. You cannot give them 5 years and expect it to be done. So they have to continue in office. That's the first point. And you could continue with many more points. What I'm saying is you have to act because as soon, let me say about 6 months' time, the press will pick up some negative thing and they all join together because not that they're really doing it, but they're giving the people something. They're feeding the people on negativity about the current government. That sell papers and that sell publications and that sell advertisements. So they will find some quick negative things that will jump on the bandwagon and they shoot you with it. And then a few of the boys, the PNM have the people everywhere. Oh, and they started, and next is your opinions start changing. And I told you you should not give those PNM, those UNC a chance. You see what they're doing? They did it already. Look, they're doing it again. Look, the thief, someone wanted all craziness start to happen. So the role of the party between election is equally important as the ministers and the MPs of them who have a big role to play in this whole thing because they have to make sure the basis is holding. They have to make sure because they alone cannot do it. They have to have a base. And the base has to be like Gary and like Cement and like the people who meet on these things and the other people in Trinidad and they buy and the block party, most. I don't know what I want to find out what they really have, really. But they need to have every branch, like how the PNM does it. I fight the PNM all over the damn place and winning them anyway. But just how the PNM have it, they have the people planted everywhere in the village council, in the county council, in the here, in the Indian, everybody, they're planted everywhere. In the country areas, even all over, you have them planted. So if you want to be a government who want to be for 15 years, you have to find out what is the role of your party members who are not in the parliamentary arm. The parliamentary arm have a work cut out for them, we know. But that means that what I'm saying is that alone is not enough. To be a good minister alone is not enough. You have to be a good minister, but making sure you have a base. You cannot
Totally.
only worry about your ministership alone.
Yes, totally agreed. We talked about that yesterday. That
Yes.
unless you do that, you see now ministers have a role to play, basically for legislative agenda, in the executive agenda, the Senate, and so on. They are busy by themselves to run their ministry. They're really busy. So
And they have
I
to vacate
always
the NATEX. They have to vacate the NATEX to make room
I always
for
say
forward.
each minister must have a sub-minister who will work the constituency office. So while the minister is in parliament, debating, making suggestions, getting cabinet notes passed, the legislative agenda and so on, have your backup working in the council, hear the people's complaints, hear the suggestion. When the ministers fight the election and they up there, 9 out of 10 of them do not ever go back and see their constituents again until the next election is called. So that's why
Right.
you see these.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all on the same page on what I'm talking about tonight.
I know
We who live outside of the country see things so differently now. You see what you just said there. If you ask a minister, let's say 2 years from now, and so yeah, oh yeah, we have somebody in the office all the time, blah 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 blah. Blah. Trinidadian quick to give you an answer. That they, oh, we're working at it, we have that already. You see, last time what I had to pin down Ram with. Okay, give me a scenario. The minister says you want you to start a project. Tell me how you're going to run it. Tell me what you're going to do, and you're going to do. You want to start it from tomorrow, from next week, or early as possible. Tell me this is where the rubber hits the road because oh we had it, we yeah ready, but you aren't doing it. Everybody in Trinidad have everything. They have the answer for everything, but they're not doing it. Everybody know what to do, but nobody doing it. That's why I pinned him down last night with that. Because okay, what would you give? Be specific. Tell me what you're going to do. And he answered it well. He's no joke. He did a good job at it. But many people would not be. They talk. Oh, well, who's the who? Who's the we? We will do. Who's the we? Pin them down. Like even last night, asking us, man. I said, okay, you talk about the constituencies down in the lagoon. Okay, there are 4 constituencies. Could you generate a clientele? That was my words last night. I was asking, do you have a clientele? You could say, like, I could call up, or you could get somebody who would find these people, pull them together. Because suppose they send you to do the same thing. Okay, so man, you're talking about that whole 4 constituency. Tell us what we could do. We want to start next week. Tell us first thing, second, third, fourth thing to do. And here's the money, and we have the money set aside. Oh, we could get the money for you. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of the money part. Tell me how you're going to apply this. So, because many trainers are going to talk to them, oh, we do it already. Oh, we have this already. We have everything. They know and have everything and nothing done. This is a Trinidad problem. So we who live in abroad could differentiate. Because when we come from outside and we look on the inside, we see a lot of problems they don't see.
absolutely.
And they have it made out. They all have it lovely. They're good. Everything is lovely. Everything. But they're killing the tree and ripping the tree in your house, and your wife and your mother and all of that. All you have everything under control. But how come you're not controlling the crime then? What's the problem? How come you had to buy everything? Oh, let me. I want to. I just talk too much. Hold on. Let me just say one more thing and I'm done. I walked into a grocery in San Fernando, I think the Gulf City. And when I walked through that grocery, I thought I was by Shop and Stop. Whenever they had them in let me call one from Florida, Publix. I thought I was walking in Publix because I was greeted with apple in front. That apple and then there are grapes. And the orange way in the back. So quill up orange way in the back. The hell is this? I thought I forget where I was. I thought I was in Publix. And the apple smelling. God, not a mango. They even have a mango. Oh shit, man.
No mandarin, no mango, no
I
lime.
know. I see some quail up orange in the back. Yeah. You know, these people crazy. Straight out people have to be crazy. They can't be normal. I mean, they are not normal people, man. They don't know people that are. Look, Gary, I think I'm talking too much. So let me just go to the last. Okay, this is the last of the last. You know, in I forget. Go ahead. You go ahead. Or they come back to me. Go on. Go ahead, Cement.
No, Gary, is there?
I was going to tell you something important now, but it was line of what I'm saying about Trinidad people, but maybe I shouldn't.
You're quite right with this in Dr. Maharaj. I
We're
agree
listening.
with
We're
you.
listening.
Yeah,
But good point.
Dr.
All I'm saying is that we have to give the government a chance. There's a lot on their plate. We will address these issues. We make a note of all these issues, right? And it's documented here electronically by video. So definitely it's considered. But all I'm saying is a lot of people rushing the prime minister and the government right now for things because people are desperate and everybody wants everything right away, and it's going to take a whole time.
See these people who voted for the UNC or making noise about the UNC, they are going to turn as soon as 6, 7 months down the road.
That's it.
Because they expect some magic to happen. and and if the magic can happen, they go say, well, they promise and they can't deliver. They're looking for the easiest thing
And,
to say
and,
to find a fault,
and the
because
press will be
that is
front
how
and
they are.
center.
Yeah.
The media will be front and center to ensure that that happens,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
the existing media right now.
Yes.
That's why I was making the point. Most of the voters who voted this year, even though we had the lowest turnout, 54%, but
Yeah.
most of the voters were mostly younger people. And the younger people are the ones who probably got the laptops in their lifetime.
Yeah. This
And
what
they
this
went,
time, right? Yeah.
huh?
But this, you mean this last election?
No, this last election,
Yeah.
a lot more younger people voted
Yeah.
because they had
Yeah.
access to the social media.
Did they come? Did they bring the data out on that yet? About
Mm, Generally, they feel that is it because the elderly ones did not go to vote,
Yeah.
especially for the PNM. They didn't go. So
So I
whatever.
was going to tell, yeah, I'm going to tell you this now. I forgot what I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you this. Trinidad people are not fair people. That was the trend of was going up, and that's the same trend I want to continue. Trinidad people are not fair people. Even though this government will doing such a good job, they will still fire them in 5 years' time for some stupid little reason on unknown to performance. So Trinidad people are not fair people. I already attacking them already. Tell you how they know everything and they do everything, and they're not fair people
What
because they get
example,
frustrated very
Dr.
quickly.
Raj?
Look, let me tell you something. Do you know that there must have been another a strong percentage of UNC people didn't come out and vote
Yeah. They tried.
because a lot of them think that Kamala doing stupidness and this one or that and Kamala can't do this and Kamala oh why she stay home
And she
and
gonna
then
lose the
them other
election,
fellas
and she gonna use another. Yeah.
and
And
them
then
other six
nothing,
fellas who pull out, them are one from they have no shit in following. They have no following, you know. This one from down in Mayaro, and the other one from somewhere up in the Caroni in somewhere in the Caroni West or whatever, somewhere around there. They have
uh,
no following. I Rita Haynes and nobody. The only time we know about Rita Haynes when she will be here and she put she up to find something. She's not gonna get. She's not a smart lady anyway. She don't know a little bit. But thanks to the UNC, she don't know a little bit. When she started, she couldn't find she words. She couldn't pronounce properly. Now she
right,
finds she Hebrew and she jump PNM. That is the opportunity you're having. A lot of them just get frustrated. I know I have some relative when Jack Warner was fighting against the UNC in those days, they went for the LIP.
ILP.
Some people in the same house, some vote UNC and some vote LIP. We know LIP wouldn't win a seat, but they cost a couple of seats somewhere. I think it was in Tonapuna and somewhere around there. They cost the UNC some seats up there. So Trinidad people are not forgiving people. They are thin skinned. They cannot take a criticism, and they bear things in mind. And they say it's better all of look in that debate with the fellas. I'll never call the fellas from Caroni. In that debate with the fellas from Caroni, I told them that you all are going to go back in opposition if you all don't support the NR where they are. They said, never mind, we still in NR in opposition and PNM we in opposition. Let we leave where we are. We're going to still be in opposition. That's okay. But then I said, that's not okay with me because I ain't going no damn opposition. So Trinidad people what do they call a bad mind or something like that in Trinidad?
The Indian word my grandmother say uses korhi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eh?
Yeah,
And the thing about it is, if I can't have it, you can't have it, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
this kind
yeah,
of nonsense. Now,
yeah, yeah.
how critical this election was, right? And the
Yes,
people who claiming to understand what they know what the threat is against us, the
right,
life-threatening threat against us, the physical threat, genuine we face, and then
right,
choose to fight Kamla,
right.
right? Instead of working with
Yeah,
Kamla to fight the PNM, they were more attacking Kamla than the PNM. And
yes,
But
then you see them, the five went and, well, mostly about, I think three or four of them went and hug up the PNM. So
yes.
you went and
That's
hug
it.
up the enemy, oppressing we,
That's
because you
yeah,
vex, right?
right,
You went and
right.
hug up the enemy, oppressing we, the
Yeah,
enemy that's a
yeah,
threat, the enemy that has his feet, his knee in our necks. You went and hug up the enemy because you
right.
vex,
So you
right?
become the enemy now. You're our
yeah,
enemy now.
Right.
Unfortunately,
You
that
went
should
and
happen,
tried
but
to
it happened.
derail this army trying to fight to rescue our nation. This is
Hmm.
what you did,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I have to call them out, friends or no friends. This is what
Yeah.
you did. I tried to reason with some people. You couldn't reason with them. Them head was so hot. But like typical Trinidad, and when you try to give advice, what we just say? Yeah, boy, I know. Right?
Uh,
They know.
Yeah.
Right?
one even went so far to use religion as a base to not to vote for UNC.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that,
The thing. But we have to be. But I am so proud of the people that came out.
correct,
They
correct.
didn't care less. They know the reality is what Auntie Kamala did for them, and a lot of them realize what we're trying to do for them, and they have seen clearly, what the UNC have, I mean, the PNM have done for them, done to them, for the last 10 years. I mean, they were brutal. Dr. Rowley and Stuart Young in particular was brutal to our people, right? And arrogant, and you couldn't ask them nothing. So I couldn't feel, I cannot finish thank our people when I made the call to choose the caring mother over the infidel father. I pointed out straight up. That was my point. Choose the caring mother over the infidel father, right? And we've seen that. We see who the caring mother was. And I mean, so the people they recognize that, and then a lot of them made their songs and different things. And even, I mean, I was surprised at Iowa George, you know, with his song,
Yeah. Yeah.
and because his radio station bash Kamala and the UNC, and the most amount of racist discussion was taking place on that 911 919 radio station there, right? With certain individuals, and how they could jump over somebody wall and attack them, and very physical threats. Very racist. But there were two guys I see come along after, was Heavy and TC. And Heavy was with a show
Yeah,
before The
heavy.
Truth Is Unbelievable some years ago when he and Ghost. Them guys did some heavy work. Andy Williams, the Pitbull, for years I put down some good work trying to keep the people focused and not on this race thing. And
Yeah,
he came out loud, really nice. We fought very hard for that Toko Sangre Grande seat. So the convincing, a lot of people played a role in it, right? And all I am saying now is let's focus on the delivery, right? And we have to work together as a people. Work from your community. You don't need somebody to appoint you. Basta Panda say he didn't need office to do anything. Nobody to appoint him to do anything. Remember when they kick him out? He said he could still work, right? And I mean that is something you learn, from him there. Look, who appointed me to help 600 people stranded outside the country? Anybody appointed me? I fought with the
No.
government tooth and nail, and a
No.
lot of the decision they had to, I forced their hand. Even the,
Right.
even the,
You
the
see,
MPs, even the opposition MPs within the parliament couldn't force their hand like how I did it, right? So,
Gary,
I
and
mean,
you see why that is why the other night when Donny, what the guy named
Donny
the,
Rogers,
the agriculture guy.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I was telling him that the motive, people have to be motivated to do what they have to do.
You
Don't
have to
force them
care.
what to do.
You have to care. Number one, to have that motivation.
Or, right,
You have
or
to
that
have
their
that. You have
own
that in your
goodness of the
chest.
mind, of the heart, they will do X, Y, and Z. Set
Yeah.
up the right playing field. Those are the ones that we say. Set up a playing field where everybody could play, everybody could enter the game, and may the best man win. Let's have competition. Bring back competition. My parents never knew that they could get some kind of relief when one of the animal died. They have a bull that pull the cart, and the other one of
That
them
didn't
died.
exist for we. That information didn't
Right.
exist for we.
I never know about social security and social welfare.
No,
That never occurred to
no,
us. We never
not
know
an
about those
option
things.
for we. No apartment house
That
was
was
built
never
for
that,
we.
yeah, that was never an option even. We were not
Yeah,
even taught to be that.
you go and apply for NHA loan and they take your application and throw it away. My parents did.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I know.
I
I
we
know.
never get it, but they scrape their pennies and they sacrifice. And my mother makes
Yeah,
concrete like a man. All
yeah.
right. and we plant the yard and plant the body to save money and plant same, and I eat same in 5 different ways growing up. And I love the same. I couldn't get enough same. Curry same with saltfish, same without saltfish. Same with body.
We're back to same. Every night I talk about same already. I talk
And
every
these
night I talk about
bastards here,
same.
Dr. Maharaj, these
Yeah,
bastards here want to come and talk about taxing my parents and their property, right?
yeah, yes.
Boy, and it has some shameless people who we own there went and jump up and support that, knowing the fact, the kind of sacrifice where we
Yep,
came from, what our parents
absolutely.
did. I
Yeah,
wasn't joking with this government, bro. I
yeah.
wasn't joking with me. And if I did get enough help, then I'm in more trouble.
Because when this guy said the Mahasabha should you drop support for the UNC, and I got so annoyed that these fellas, they're like political grasshoppers, man. They only want to see what they can get for themselves. Forget the rest of the community. Let them suffer. And they know how they suffered. Exactly what
So,
you're saying.
so let me put something in both of you now because we're talking more like North American people. So let's leave it like that. Um, Here's a question or suggestion or something that I don't know if you all think like this before. Um, sometimes I see the way the Indian people in the UNC fighting each other, and the African will be looking at them and say, "Oh, those jackasses," and them, what the hell they talking about? They don't understand this game, how they play the game here or what? And I could imagine people like Mighty K and even my Douglas friend and all. But he understands them all. But them other fellas, I say, what wrong with this? And what the hell wrong with them? This one didn't get what he wants, so he pick up the marble and he gone home. The other one, he joined your enemy. Barry said they went and pick up the gun on the other side. I said, what kind of crazy people? I was wondering if these Afro Trinidadians and them Mobian feeling frustrated with all the Indian behaving so badly. They have no damn shame. I, I look at it. I mean, look at Geraldine John. These people are more. He might understand a little more. Jack Warner, Gary friend, Jack Warner. He's my friend too, anyway. But even Jack Warner, he might understand a little better. But Geraldine John and Mighty K and the boys and Serge and all them fellas, and seeing this Indian fellas people behaving this way, so ungrateful and imakaram. I mean, they will say, well, they know why the hell in this game? If they know this game is played, why the hell they don't come out the game? No, they had to jump on the other side and for vendetta. And they had no damn see, they will go they lose their deposit. Some
They
of them lose
cannot.
the damn deposit.
It just goes to tell you that none of them cannot win a seat without Kamala.
Yeah, yeah,
You cannot win a seat. They cannot
yeah.
win a seat. Not one of them can win a seat without the Kamala. If they think they're so good, let them fight it as an independent and see. They just
So
can't.
the,
So
so
the
that's the
easiest
circular
way,
firing squad. You
easiest
know about
way,
the circular firing squad? Intestine warfare. You know about that cement?
what's that one?
Internecine warfare. It's a warfare where they fight among themselves and kill each other.
Yeah.
So and when Pandey were fighting in Woodstown and Dukaran, because we went down in Trinidad to try to settle the scores with Pandey and Dukaran and him. And still Dukaran went. I mean, I say I don't tell him I know him. I mean, I know, the guy and I went down well. But still they went and fight outside.
Shikolas.
The cop went on and they were not a damn seat for them.
Yeah.
I told them that I say you all were not involved in the ONR days. You all must learn from your parents what happened. So when in Ramada, the lawyer one day, what make he think he father couldn't win in the ONR, but he go come and he go join cop and he go win.
Yeah.
Learn from if you're not a learning nation, you're doomed to failure. You have to learn. If you're not learning, you're doomed. Everybody have to learn. Tomb to grave. What do they call it again? Tomb to grave. Something like that.
Cradle
Yeah,
to
but
grave,
that's why they
cradle
say
to
we study
grave.
history, right? Is that the reason why we study history, right? So we won't repeat the
Yes.
mistakes. But
Yeah.
we have a tendency to repeat the mistakes again and again.
Yeah. You're not learning. You're not learning. And say they want to come the other day and think of Gary Gifford. Gary Gifford, when he go form a third party and he go win. But Alexander was smarter than him. Because Alexander said, this thing I go work. So let me find a party and jump in. No,
Yeah, but
Gary said,
he
let
want
me
to
hold
he
on to my
want to beat.
position. At least if I can't win seat, I could spoil the vote. I could show
Yeah,
them what I could do.
yeah.
Gary and all, he get like a Nimakaram too.
But
But man,
So you write them off completely. These people
no,
have no history for, and he resigned and he walk away. So he's going to look for something else to do.
he resigned from the party.
Yeah, you got
And
he form a
yeah,
party, make the president, and he dump the party and he run.
correct.
I never see this here. I
Correct.
tell you, Trinidad people ain't easy, boy. Hey, you have to laugh at them, boy. What? I this is, if they get back by now, you're red. Well, I get back by now. You never get back yet. You don't get back tonight.
No,
Yes.
I'm glad that who left the party, they hopped over, they got what was coming for them. So that's good. They were
And
hopefully
Gary, and Gary, you know you're recording tonight. Somebody go hear what we're saying tonight.
that's okay. That's
but
okay.
this is live and direct, and me afraid to say it. I calling him on the ship
Yeah, no.
because a
Yeah.
man like Gary Griffith should have known better what the threat was against we. And listen, I tried to work out things with them, right? But you couldn't reason them. Some of them guys' head get so big that you couldn't talk to them. Them is a specialist in everything, right?
Yeah.
And look what is the end result. Today you could have been part of the government. All I had to do was keep your cool, right? You try to derail the UNC and Kamala, attacking Kamala, you could beat Kamala into obedience, right? And submission, and bullish into submission, right? And make a total fool out of yourself when, I mean, you know how much the threat against we physically is in the country, right? You know that he was police commissioner, he was former minister of national security, advisor to the prime minister. You know what kind of threat is against we and how critical it's for we to deal with. You destroying or jeopardizing the UNC army from taking government would put us in what position? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I mean, you couldn't
yeah,
reason to the people, you know. So I
yeah,
listen. I love the guy like a brother. I have high respect for his skills,
yeah,
but he made a total ass of himself.
yeah.
That's quite
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. I had a lot of respect for him, but I could see he's a hard fellow to get along. He was here, Gary, when Kamala come win the election. You know, she came up here and and she was in the crowd. Gary was there. I think Gary made the visit. He was there that night too. Gary was here. Well, all the NATEX high ranking ministers were here at that time. So Kamala saying to come back to Trinidad, he inviting the and a guy from the crowd shouted Gary. He says, yes, but what about the crime? She said, well, and Kamala heard him, and she said, okay, I'll tell you about the crime. I'll tell you what. Then she lay out what they plan to do, and she even mentioned Gary Griffith because Gary was some kind of crime fellow with the UNC that time, and Gary was there.
He was
So
advisor to the national security advisor. He
right,
wasn't minister
right,
yet.
right, right. Yeah, Gary was there. Yeah, yes, because she talked about Gary one time there, and you know, it's the same thing with me. But I think about going back to Trinidad, but I can't take this crime. Number one, tonight we're talking like American people and all of that, and we
But
have a
brother,
right to.
there's two major things, Dr. Maharaj, right? The
Yes,
crime and the healthcare, which is
right. Yeah, yeah. So certainly,
both is
certainly.
an equal
Yeah,
threat.
yeah. I mean, when I came to America, I really didn't want to stay. You know, I wanted to go back. I didn't come here to stay. Because
The,
I gave up a lot in
the,
Trinidad to come here. Because I
the,
was in the
the,
National Insurance Board. I was the director of the National Insurance Board. In fact, for the NR, I was an acting senator for about 2 3 weeks, and somebody went away, and I was. So I had it really good. If somebody want to work, I can get for them. If I
But
want to know,
I,
so I move up here, but I really didn't want to stay here. I wanted to go back. So
Dr.
eventually, but
Maharaj,
I don't talk about me. So I didn't go back, man. No, it's even worse now. That where Kamala was here and it says, well, yes, madam, they want us to come out, tell us what about the crime, what you do. And that time it wasn't bad as now. Look like 2010. It get worse of course, you know that. It get worse from that time to now. So people like the country, but they don't want to live there. If the UNC could make it better, which I think they will, and that is why I'm saying that the 5 years will not be enough. You might as well take it away now from them.
the thing
So,
is that you got to be informing the public continuously or continuously updating them via social media. Don't expect the traditional media, print media, to say anything good about what is happening.
Like I told you guys, I'm looking to build this team
Yes.
as much as possible so that
Yeah.
we have an outside how to say observance, and we're going to make our recommendation whether they choose to listen to us. We're making a recommendation. I kept at it on social media, and I kept in everybody's face for a number of years, right? And today, I mean, I forced the hand of a lot of people, right? I forced the hand of a lot of people. So I mean, what I'm saying to you is, you know, you doing up nothing again. I like to reiterate that is not an option. You can do something from where you are. Don't let your distance, your location be an issue. You know, and I like to reiterate, we Americans have long distance capabilities, which we do,
Yeah.
you know, in military wise. But
Mm.
yes, remain engaged and don't hesitate to step up. You know, I want to encourage our young people to step up in their community. You know, and just be very vigilant. You know, stand what what you believe and share your ideas. Do what you can to help your community. We have to really reconnect. The community wise from the ground up. You always build a house from the ground up. So how can you try to do things from top down?
Yeah. So let me just say two quick things, and then I will leave you also talk. And two quick things. One will be
We're wrapping
involving
up. We're
Summit.
wrapping up tonight anyway. I mean, only talking done.
Yeah. Now, but let me hear this little part, and then let me see what time is it. I don't know, nine. Okay. Oh, well, yeah, you're going late, man. Um. So two things then. One is the I just make a comment. Somebody talk about Ruby, and I want to know Ruby talk. Congratulations to our government for having nice, free and fair election and blah 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 blah. And they overthrow the government here. Try to overthrow the government in 2020. So I just say, what the hell he talking about? Let he learn a few things from Trinidad, how they conduct election over there, how they peaceful transition. They can have transition here. But here's the bigger point I want to make here, Sumit.
Tell me.
There are 8,000 regular police, including SRPs that work
Mhm.
in
Yeah, yeah,
Trinidad right now.
yeah, yeah.
You know, at Carnival, we heard that the crime is very low at Carnival time. You know that, right?
Because they bring out all the who on leave, who not on leave. Everybody
Uh,
has to come out to work.
that's the point. You hitting it on the head. So here's the thing. If you have 8,000, I want to take 2,000. And that's asking you to because you're the quantitative guy more than I am. You're talking about AI into quantitative things. So this is a quantitative thing. If you take 2,000 people and you separate, you need four shifts because you need one shift always on leave and three shifts for every 8 hours for a day. So you need four shifts. One is a relief and the other three is working.
Mm.
And out of those 8,000, you're taking 2,000 of them
Pa-
and you line them up in the places where they have the crime right now. We know where the places are. And wherever they move, we move again, wherever they might be. And we have policemen, two of them situated, say, every 3/4 mile apart or half a mile apart. They could have car, no car, but they could be so near each other. But you have them in the street, like how you have them in Carnival. Even though you have in uniform, the detective will come out and wear uniform some part of the week. He will come out and wear uniform and go into the beat. Because if you're preventing crime, you don't need detectives. Because you're preventing a detective is going to solve crime. But you
mm.
don't have no crime, so what you gonna solve? If the detective come out on the street and prevent crime, he had to solve no crime. So put the detective on the street. The only people I understand are this special branch. Maybe the special branch is just too big because they couldn't predict when Bin Laden, whatever the guy named the Muslim guy who threw out Trinidad will come out and overthrow him. I got the ex-policeman, what Abu Bakr.
All right.
So if these fellas, and that's the thing I wanted to see if that's feasible quantitatively, that you could have them in special areas. Most likely now the East-West corridor, and maybe I heard they have something down in like in La Romaine, they have some little
Yeah,
pockets or
fucking
little
pockets
enclaves
there.
of
Yeah.
crime, heavy crime. You set them apart half a mile, two constables half a part a mile, and you do it for about a whole month and see how it works, and make adjustments accordingly. But they have to be there. When a crime happens, the police should arrive there within 5 minutes. And you could do it because if you're half a mile apart, if you're running, you go reach in 5 minutes.
Right.
If you say half a mile, make it 3/4 mile, whatever it is. But you need 2,000 people to be on the street all the time. No come on, no crap, but I have no vehicle if I can't come. You need a damn vehicle. Jump on a damn bicycle. I mean, my friend, the fellow from Port of Spain talk about bicycle riding. Ask the police if you don't have a vehicle and your vehicle break down, you nobody will come out there. Ride a
Well,
bicycle, have a motorbike. You could take your motorbike, you could arrest motorbike could arrest people, If people in motorbike could arrest people too. Or you could at least restrain them until vehicle come to carry them away. So jump in your motorbike
take
and go
donkey
between the
cart and
traffic and
mule if
arrest
you
them.
have to.
You have so I think Alexander is very exposed to any good idea he will get and he will run with it. And
well,
that is the point I wanted to make
Well,
tonight
the
before we
man
close.
said he just left, so you know the deal, right? He just
But
left,
a
so
little
he knows
idea
the
to give
deal.
him something we're talking about, you could think about that too. I mean, start with the carnival thing. The assumption is since carnival is low, and I thought you didn't know that, but you're right because you said all the detectives and everybody come out, and everybody who on leave can still leave. They come out for carnival. You can't get leave around that time. So because your crime is so out of hand that you have to have drastic thing called for drastic action. So if you have to take
you
the
see,
detectives and put them on in uniform and take forget the motorbike fellas. Motorbike crime is more important than looking. Now they don't have ticket anymore. It's a good thing they stop the ticket system where you got the points. So people will be focusing more. And half of them police will take bribe. Yeah, they stop you for the
yeah,
ticket, and
yeah,
the reason why they your ticket, if you give them a bribe, the ticket goes, and they don't put it in. I know, I came on, I know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
So
but
drastic things called for the PNM doing nothing. All the PNM doing is shifting the deck, shifting the chairs on Titanic and the Titanic going down. Anyway, but by now we were sing down.
I
That was
think
the article I wrote sometime about that. So
that's a good suggestion. Yeah, but we can use the army for that. We don't need to pull out 2,000 policemen. You could use the army to complement, let's say, one policeman and two army officers. What does the army do in Trinidad?
well,
So,
another you could try that option, but you see, really, you don't want the army to come out in a civil in a home for home. What they call it, home affairs.
No,
What
no,
do
no,
they
no.
call it? They call it
They patrol. They would
homeland
have to change
security.
some legislation, but what the patrol, the army could supplement the Coast Guard
that's
along
right.
the borders to make sure that
That's
things
right.
are done.
No,
The,
because that
that,
external thing. And here's
So
another thing
they
again.
walk the perimeter. They walk the perimeter of the country while the Coast Guard outside there. So if the Coast Guard is chasing somebody onto shore or whatever it is that they're there to provide support. But there's a lot of structuring has to be done.
And here's another thing. We talk about application. So the police thing could, and that thing could happen in 2 weeks. That what we're talking about. We want immediate solution. We're not talking about. Well, we have this in the shelf. We could dust down now, bring it a cowboy, bring it. No, we're talking immediately. Here's another thing. If you put two Coast Guard vessels, you need four vessels in all, and you have them situated in the sea at all times, monitoring east, north, south, and the west. And if you stay on a corner, you go what two sides. On the next corner, you go what two sides. Because that bind that working, they could have AI they could tell if somebody shaking the water, they could know. And
Doc,
drones
let
and
me tell you
everything.
something. Right now
But this ship,
we have 12
this ship
sitting.
cannot be at bay. This ship cannot be hide up somewhere in Chagarama in Montego Bay, whatever the hell they call down Tetron Bay.
Shakaramas, the Montego in
Chagaramas, yeah.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have them out open. And they're watching all night. Got the guns are coming there and the drugs are coming through there. Look and see. You could see night vision. You could see a good distance away. And you could even move the ship a little bit, moving up down the water 2-3 miles. Those are practical things that the PNM is not doing it. They were not doing it.
No,
So
no,
you would now
listen to
get
me.
some
This
simple little things you could do.
this thing
You
was
could
by
bring the army later
design.
on.
This
If
thing
you
was
want to
by
bring the army, you
design.
could, but you really don't need the army yet. Maybe later on you'll see if that doesn't work. So
my
Alexander could start doing things like that, and the external affairs minister, whoever he is, the defense minister, he could also think about this, how to deploy the Coast Guard effectively and efficiently. I don't think the PN will think within a box and they constrain themselves. They're only thinking of how they could please the 1%ers and get win the next election. That's all they're concerned about. Nothing again. So that bad example, we don't want to talk about them. We only want to talk about what we're going to do. Go ahead, Jerry.
That's good, and that's good as a good starting point. But to really fight crime, you have to have a number of things happening concurrently.
Yeah.
And one of the things you could start with, try yours, and that's what is suggested. We try the army and so on to strengthen the base.
It has to be a
multifaceted approach. You have night courts, you have quick sentencing, all these things will help contribute because the whole system is clogged. Basically, that is what it is. So there's no justice happening in any.
You have to fix the management structure of our law enforcement operation, whether it's the military, the Coast Guard. Everything has to be dealt with, right? We know we have two ministers there who will be addressing it, and Alexander is quite experienced in operations, but we will make suggestion to him, on what we think. But there has to be a joint venture operation. You have to work. You have to redesign the community structure, the patrolling. We must focus on deterrence. All right. Because I have a saying, I like to reiterate it: justice doesn't resurrect the dead. When somebody dead is dead, you can resurrect them. All right. So the first objective here, the higher priority, is to prevent, and you can only prevent by maintaining, being consistent with the patrolling, making your response. The police response should be so effective and swift that criminals would have to change their mind. You see what's been happening in the country. Them guys have a clean getaway. And quite a bit of time, we also have, while we have policemen working hard, we have policemen undermining policemen because they collaborate with criminals. A couple of days ago, my friend called me. Say, Gary, I had to flee Trinidad. He said, because my son had to shut down his business. They tried to kidnap my daughter, and police was involved in the extortion.
Right.
And this is not the first. This is not the first. There has been many people, So if we don't deal with the management and supervision of the police force, I say fire the whole administrative team, as far as I'm concerned, because this was allowed to deteriorate under their watch.
Right, Gary, you ever thought about that? I give things a thought, but from the technology side, I see that if we fingerprint everybody in Trinidad and Tobago and use that fingerprint as a backup on your ID card as well. So from the time you hold somebody for a crime, you match it against the database what you have.
Right? That part has to work. But what I'm saying to you is, all that is fine and good, but what we need to work on very swiftly is the deterrent factor, right? Because the courts and then the justice system has to be dealt with to flush out the backup case. You're holding people 15, 20 years in jail, and they're not proven guilty at this point, right? And then what happens, we also have a problem with the justice system, where you take a guy for a minor thing and you make him a bigger criminal because of where you locate him. So now he's more connected.
I was saying. Yeah. It's a coordinated effort. You can't do one thing by itself, wouldn't work. You have to tackle it from several different fronts. If you tackle it from, every time a baby is born here, they take your footprint in the hospital here in the US. They take the footprint of the baby. Mm-hmm. Why can't we do a fingerprint on your ID card? Everybody's ID card will have their fingerprint. So when you hold somebody, it's matched against a database. Right away, you find out immediately. You find out what is the name, what are previous convictions, everything. So with that information, you're taking it to your judge or to your magistrate or whoever it is, and say, there's the same person one time.
But are you fingerprinting when you get a stolen car? Are they fingerprinting the car when they come on the scene? No, most of the time they don't do that.
They don't do that again. They used to. All in the glass and so on. They looking for the fingerprints by the keys. Where they don't do that again.
And you should have something like an iPad where you're uploading that information and it
Right
going via the
away.
internet right into the database. You don't have to come in the station to log in.
No, you're on site where you find the guy. Once he gets your that fingerprint matches, he's the guy to get. He's the guy to get, and that will speed up things so fast, so fast. You could be dealing with hundreds of cases for the day, and if you do those cases in the night again, even better. And leave the daytime for the regular cases. What's going on? You have to break that bottleneck of cases. 16,000 and something cases they have in backlog. When are they going to clear that? They may eventually have to give an amnesty for 5,000 right away to get the numbers down. These things, you have to think out of the box because it's a grave situation. Use several different approaches to it.
So here's a little quick suggestion. I won't, we won't, we're not, we can't talk about much tonight, but I just want to say, I know what you all are saying, and I haven't really thought about it, but I would suggest things like and let this government is open to ideas, and they have their own ideas, and they can solve. If they can't solve it, nobody can solve it. So let us start with that. Um, but you see, like minor offenses, something like you mentioned it there, you call in the defendant. Even if I call him from the police station or a probation office or whatever, call him and I say, listen, you have this thing against you. It's a traffic offense, it's not a criminal offense, something. Listen, you have a choice. The fine is $1,000, but we give you a reduced fine, pay the fine and go away.
That's
See,
like an amnesty. That's what I'm saying.
right,
It's like
right.
an
See how much of
amnesty.
them you'll get to come in. So you're not getting away scot free, really. You're paying something, but it wouldn't be the 1,000. You're paying for 800 or some. And you tell me go
Yeah.
jump for that. So yeah, okay. I get it. Okay, I'm the told. Well, I will try and I might lose. So let me pay me 800 or 500 and let me go. And you can settle a lot could be settled like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it comes to minor offenses, things like cursing or obscene language and blood, listen, let him go. If I let magistrate call him and say next, let me, what do you have to say? All right, discharge with no conviction. They have thing they could do. Discharge,
That is
let them go. Settle it.
ancient colonial thing that they use conveniently. You're looking at a guy for cursing. If the guy,
yeah,
if the guy didn't know anything serious, why you're wasting your
yeah,
damn time when it's time people robbing
right.
and killing people,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're wasting
Let
yeah.
your
him,
time
let
talking
him,
about man cursing or spitting on the road?
let him go and sweep the school for a week, the man. Or go and clean the church of Monday or something.
Yeah,
Do some
I mean these
community
laws,
service.
these enforcement waste of time laws, waste of police time when you need police to do handle more serious things. They need to cut out that kind of thing. And police has to be retrained on how they handle people because a lot
Yes.
of situation I see, they're not properly trained or they're not exercising that training. They are disrespectful. They can't. They can't restrain a person properly because they don't seem to have the tactical skills in restraining somebody. And I mean, a lot of people get shot. You don't need to shoot them. Even here in the U.S., you see people getting shot unnecessarily, where that situation could have been handled much better. So we don't want that kind of unnecessary thing. Not everything that
No,
America does is right.
no,
So I mean, we have
no,
to focus on doing the right
no,
things. But
no.
there's a lot to be
Yeah,
done. The police
no, no,
force has
no,
to
no.
be, you know.
And that was my thing in the beginning with you all. I was saying, don't, and some people in America, including maybe some told you also, you're looking, putting on the lens of America to look down into the West Indies. They're not prepared for these things. They have to have an adjustment period. And Fazia, she agreed with that. She says she agreed with that. We discussed this before. So, but really has some things you could use and some things we don't want to use and some things we
Yeah.
want
Yeah,
to
I
use.
mean, look at the turn in this country here, with this man damaging the relationship with our allies and friends, and the arrogance with handling the immigration issue and things like that. We don't want to pick up him too much. A lot. I mean, unfortunately, we have to maintain some kind of relationship. That we are forced to, but at the same point, we don't want to adopt everything. Not everything America do is right, especially what's going on here in this country right now.
No,
Yeah,
no, of
right.
course not. No,
But
no,
gentlemen,
no.
I always enjoy chatting with you. Let me know. I don't know
Yeah.
what other plan doing tomorrow night, but we could, if we see anything, we could still join.
And
Well, if anything,
also,
if anything comes up, anybody want to come in and invite them. Otherwise, we have the hand nothing. Invite anybody who want. If somebody say they want to say something, go ahead. Then we go come up. Then send us an email. We'll come out.
also, Gary, keep on trying. And I mean, you're busy, but if you get time and get someone, maybe from Natex or so on, to join us, if you get one of them to join us for the week, one person for the week, or some government official or some minister, assistant, parliamentary secretary, somebody once a week from back home, to be on the set will be always be a nice way get an inside perspective on what's actually happening on the ground there.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. It's just that everybody is so busy and
No,
Busy,
no.
and
Yeah.
yes,
yeah. So I mean,
But
after all the parade and thank you parades, I think a lot of people will be more
yeah, wait till
available.
Parliament open. Wait till Parliament open.
But they had some thank you parades today too. So I mean, everybody was kind of running around too with the still campaign kind of style thing.
yeah, victory
Yeah.
parade, yeah.
A victory parade.
Yeah, and then church meeting and prayers and whatnot they have,
Yeah.
but it's not bad.
But
But
Yeah.
like I like
thanking
to
the
everybody
people.
know, this channel is available at our disposal. I mean, I offered it. I see a lot of people going out there and doing things, and they're not really saying anything. I could have covered their parades and their events live, but we will keep at it. And as time goes by, I sent a message to the Minister of Education. Hopefully, he gets a little time to come. And I'm in contact, Suman, as you know, with most people. So
Yes, I
Yeah.
I did forward what I had to forward to Kama,
the what?
to Minister Kama Maharaj.
Okay, you're working on that, right? So
I already sent it. I already did up a whole position paper on it for him.
okay, all right.
On If you wanted, I can send it to you. It's for the tourism
Yeah. Well,
perspective.
yeah, we'll deal with that. What I'm saying to you is, first the tourism aspect of things, and then yet tourism ministry can use some information technology upgrade too.
Big time, big time. Told you
Yeah.
I was at a conference this week at Florida International University School of
Speak.
Hospitality Management on the same issue. How AI is incorporated into guest satisfaction. How AI has helped the hospitality industry big time.
Yeah. So speaking of the tourism, is something that we have to deal with also. But the cleanup, the facilities, the security, a lot has to be done. Because everything is haphazard under this PNM. So we do have a lot of work cut out. It's a matter of getting things organized and mobilized, and I mean, getting the people, all to say, doing what they're supposed to be doing. You
Yeah,
know.
so I sent in the whole report. I spent nearly all day yesterday and the day before doing it. So I was able to send it to the guy. I told you some Kiran Manohar.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did send the thing there from all as a very comprehensive approach
Yeah,
to
but
dealing.
let's be careful because some people are not government employees. Yes, because he's still dealing with some of his own people. So
Yeah.
you,
That's I want to tell Samantha a while ago. We don't want to deal nothing to do with the civil service. Nothing
No,
to
no,
do with them.
no.
no. What I'm saying to you, the person that he's talking about would be somebody part of his business. We want to deal with somebody as part of his ministry.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
but
there's
No.
only going to be
I'm a little scared of that, Gary, because you don't know these people in the ministry what they
no.
may
What I'm
do.
saying to you, eventually, yeah. But I'm saying eventually. But what I'm saying to you is to get in contact with him, use that route, that road. But when you start to talk with him, then you start to unleash some of that information because you don't want people taking your information.
Yeah,
Then
but I
you
think it's
think
this one. Somebody
Yeah, Adam,
wants to.
I have an idea how you all should do this thing, but you could think about it. And I could tell you what I used to do, and I don't know if it'll work. It might be working in this case also. When I wanted to talk to Mr. N.R. Robinson, I never asked to speak with him directly. I would always know he has a personal secretary, not the PS. It's a personal secretary. It's somebody different.
Yes,
It's someone he will walk with wherever he goes with. That is the person I want to talk to. Not even him. Even though I could get a chance and talk to him at some point, I
yeah,
want to talk to her, and she would relay whatever I tell. She would relay it, and he would say, "Well, okay, tell him so and so," and then she'll call me back and tell me he said so and so and so.
you
So
know,
that middleman, they always have a personal secretary with them.
Mr.
Not
Maharaj,
it doesn't
I,
belong to the rank and file.
yes,
Is an attachment to themselves. So
they're
that
not in
one
the
you need to
service.
know that name, and the party will know that person. The
Yes,
party will know.
but I
Then
used to be, I used to be his economist. You know, I don't know if you know
okay.
that.
Oh well, you already have it in. Yeah, you
I
already have.
always
You
dealt
already,
with him one on one. And
yeah.
when I was his economist in Tobago, and when he came to Trinidad as Prime Minister, he pulled me over to work in his Prime Minister's office in Port of Spain.
Yeah, I don't know where he's from. Where he is from?
Right, Scarborough,
Lokama Maharaj,
San Fernando, Gulf City.
San Gulf City. Okay. I don't because I don't know him in Trinidad.
I, he's the owner of Sasha Cosmetics.
What the name?
Sasha Cosmetics, the
Never,
number one.
never heard of that either.
That is the number one brand in Trinidad.
I
That's
tell you
big.
how smart. I tell you,
Oh,
I'm a dumb. When it comes to investment, I'm smart. But when it comes to consumerism, I'm not smart.
Well,
I don't
this
know
is
about the consumer
that
consumption
is
goods.
that brand is bigger than Angostura
Really?
and bigger than Carib. So that is the number one brand in the island.
What? I thought it's a perfume. Is that a perfume?
internationally, it's gone
There is
international.
several perfumes. That's one brand. There's several brands of perfume and lipstick and gloss and all these things that
It's
facial stuff.
international. It gone international. It gone international.
How long you been around? How long they been around?
Well,
About
the
40
business,
years.
the
8 years.
started with his mother, according to what I was hearing. The business started with his mother.
Oh.
It's well over 40 years now.
Yeah.
40 years. So
Oh, I don't know. I never heard of them.
everybody know Angostura brand, Carib, and all these things. Nobody
Yeah.
knows that. But that is the number one brand in the island.
Yeah,
So
but
all over the country, or just in Gulf City?
Oh, all over the Caribbean, Latin America, US,
Oh Lord.
Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Guyana, the whole
so
Caribbean.
did they choose the
Well,
correct guy for Minister of Trade?
what's the name of the company?
Sasha Cosmetics.
Sasha Cosmetics. Oh,
Yeah.
I will look at it and see. I'll take a look because I never heard. I'll go learn about it. Okay.
The
Thank you very
I
much.
met him in Trinidad in 2010 when I went home for the election. I didn't realize who I was talking to, but he's a very friendly guy, and we kept in touch on Facebook, and I messaged him a few times to do some things, but so I'm familiar with him. He knows who I am. But like I said, I'm happy with the choice for Minister of Trade. I think that's the best asset
I
we
think
can
so. I think so.
forward.
And what happened? They were showing that 5 of the ministers went to Nampere College, and he was one of them who went to NAPS as well. He was one of the 5.
Oh, you went to Naparima. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
because
not.
he looks
NAPS.
like Caucasian. He looked like a Jewish. He looked Jewish.
No, he's a brown skin, light skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. His assistant is Neil Gosan. He looks more Caucasian.
Yeah. Well, Neil Gusan look like Caucasian too, right?
Yeah, and
no, we all Caucasian really, but
yeah, I know. We are all Caucasians.
Yeah, but they look on the higher color of the more Syrian kind of looking.
Yes. But anyway, it was a good selection. I'm happy about that selection.
Yeah. Because I didn't know about him at all. I never heard of him. But now that you mentioned, I don't know.
Yeah, well, for him to
I'll check out on the company. I'll check his company out.
For him to build that brand to be the number one brand, better than Angostura and Carib, it means a lot. And he did it single-handedly,
But how we get a name? Tasha is a woman name. How we pick up that name?
Well, only women put on lipstick. I don't know how many men put on lipstick. And
Well,
she,
I thought it had
I
been
don't know. I
his
don't
wife
know.
or his daughter.
I have to find out if it was his mother because his mother who started. I
Or
was
yes,
his
told that
mother.
his mother
Yeah,
started the business. So
yeah.
yeah, might be. Yeah.
So,
But I never heard of it, but I
yeah,
must ask about it. Man.
Sasha
So,
Cosmetics. Yeah, Google
yeah.
it and you'll see the biggest
Mm.
brand.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Gary, tonight was very light and nice and engaging and nice and light. We didn't have to talk too much. We talk all kind of thing, but it
No,
was
well,
engaging anyway.
we did it from 8 o'clock. I did the whole education stuff and the article on the newspaper today. So I had good insights into that.
Right, right. So
What page is that?
if you guys up to creator, we'll set up for tomorrow. If you guys are up to it. So with that, I want to wish all the mothers happy Mother's Day, especially the mother of our country, Mrs. Kamala Prasad
Yeah.
Bisesa. I am proud to say that the mother of our country finally have a prime minister that everybody loves and cares about the people. So I deeply appreciate. I am so proud to know that Mrs. Bisesa is the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. What a relief, for our country and our people. And I'm looking forward to assisting her and her government in every possible way I can. And I'm calling everyone to join the effort to assist Trinidad and Tobago to be in a better place, better service quality, service delivery. Let's improve our healthcare. Let's improve our security. Anything that you want to contribute, please feel free to step up and do your best to help your country. Gentlemen, you want to add anything to this?
I would
Just
just like
you mentioned something about an article today. What is that?
Gary sent it around the one on the school, same schools that were left incomplete.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I saw that. I thought you were talking about
Totally
something else.
neglected. Totally
Yeah,
neglected.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
So
you were
And,
talking about
and,
anyway,
go,
something
and
else.
going as far as trying to deny its existence too.
anyway, Gary, I would like to endorse what you just said and seeing that these were incomplete schools, and I could tie that back to Honorable K. Kamla, is that it was one thing schools are the net beneficiary of schools are children's education, and by the PNM denying these children the availability of an excellent education, that affected children as well. I'm sure Honorable PM will not have done anything like that because of a love for children.
I
So
think the people have learned. I think the people have learned. Hopefully, they look like they have learned from that aspect and seeing the difference between her performance and her care for the people, and they came out with more love than ever before. So you can't mess with our leader at this point because there's so much love from all kinds of people for her, and I'm sure they are standing with her as they stood up and came out for the election. So let's do our best to help our country, gentlemen. With that, I would say good
good night.
night.
Yes.
And
I heard everything that you all said. I seconded by Cement, and I heard everything you said, Gary. I heard that, and don't forget, my thesis tonight was Library on point. Yellow is the code forever and ever. Good night.
good night, everybody. Thank you
Take
for
care.
joining.
Thanks.